Veronica, standing before the awe-inspiring statue in the temple, utters words that seem forbidden to her. The look is full of vulnerability when she admits his deep desire find love that will warm you up her heart. In her thoughts sounds like she always strove be beloved. Her dreams filled with images of warmth and care that previously seemed unattainable, but still burn brightly in her soul. She represents how gentle hands touch her skin and hugs give peace at night's silence, her desires so sincerely that almost materialize in it dreams, filling her light. She feels that maybe find someone who will love her sincerely. Veronica realizes how much deeper the desire for love and hopes that it will become reality. Her companion responds with genuine tenderness that same dreams of the same thing. These words penetrate the heart, girls, lighting it up, spark hope and warmth. Veronica wonders why love, which she is so thirsty, she can't be near. She feels pain from this thoughts, but that's all does not lose anyway hopes. 2 weeks ago, she found herself in a small town where her soul is like filled up light. Veronica held flowers, symbolizing the beginning of something new. Neighbors admire flowers in her hands and ask simple question that causes Veronica easy smile. She decides to return home earlier ordinary. One of girls playfully reminds me of her day birth, which Veronica almost I forgot. This day was important to her, but she all I'm not used to it yet celebrate. Neighbor's name is her to spend time together. Veronica agrees, feeling like her heart is filling up joy that in her life there are those who care about her. Veronica holds a bouquet of scarlet in his hands, flowers, thoughtfully smiling. She reflects on how father waiting her in the church, despite the hostility that arises in their communication. Her tender smile hides internal experiences. Young woman communicates with 2 women, explaining that they can't now stay with them and promises to come later if it will work out. They are distrustful, they look after her, discussing her the habit of going under prepositions. Veronica, leaving, heads towards the church along the snowy road path. Women behind her back discuss that she deceives, referring to meetings with her father because he is her despises. This talk leaves an aura of mystery around Veronica. Approaching the church, Veronica looks at her with softness expression as if would trying to find in this place consolation. For her back sound conversations, mentioning the father's hatred for his daughter that enhances her sadness. I remember tragedy. After death, mother's father Veronica fully dedicated themselves churches. Women discuss her behavior, calling attempts achieve paternal love in vain. In her smile see only wish hide pain. Veronica meets her uncle at the church. She joyfully greets, demonstrating warmth and friendliness. However, her sincerity contrasts with the surroundings, which are characterized by coldness and indifference. Entering the room, Veronica greets a relative who interested in the bouquet. Girl explains that this favorites flowers her deceased mother's, hoping that father will appreciate them, although I'm not sure about that. In a conversation with a relative, Veronica hears the question of why she is so high appreciates father who had long since rejected her. Relative hints that to the girl better would focus on your own future and go out get married. On Veronica Street, notices 2 men discussing her red eyes. They think her strange, but the girl doesn't pay attention, passing by. She full determination, despite others' conversations. Veronica saves smile, holding flowers in her hands, symbolizing her hope. She continues search love and recognition that seem so unattainable, but her interior the light does not allow her to give up. Veronica, walking through the market, notices strange voltage around. The woman handing her flowers mentions rumors about the monster Bahamut, although the village is not in danger. This topic excites disturbing thoughts. She notices how red petals the flowers in her hands remind us of the rumors of a monster with blood eyes. The inner cold pierces her, like foreshadowing something dark, but she tries save calmness. Heading to the church, Veronica feels like her heart shrinks from the strange silence and unusual atmosphere. Cold wind enhances feeling that something is going wrong, though she is trying this ignore. She calls the priest, hoping to talk and enter together to church. It is important for her to feel support, especially on a day like this when disturbing thoughts envelop her reason and loneliness seems especially painful. Persuading herself, she decides, be strong. Clutching a bouquet of red flowers, Veronica full determination to earn attention and recognition. It seems to her that sincere efforts will help you find answers and peace. Remembering that today her birthday, she is filling up bright hope. Veronica believes that this day will bring something good if she will remain faithful to his own patience and kindness intentions. She approached the church doors, notices how building seems especially empty and quiet. The unusual silence makes her nervous, but she takes a step forward, overcoming fear. Her hand carefully pushes the door, and she asks if everyone is already inside. This question reflects her wish to connect with people and avoid growing feelings isolation. Inside, her sight falls on the scattered flowers. This instant reminds her of the torn one's hopes. Silence becomes threatening, heart shrinks, foreshadowing something scary. It opens up before her creepy picture. Traces violence, fallen petals, flowers, and darkness that seems absorbs everything around. Veronica stands there in a daze, trying to comprehend what is happening. Veronica discovered bodies, their own loved ones, in the hall, where silence reigned and the blood appeared dark spots. Shock and disbelief shackled her, heart pounded with realization horror what happened. Stepping closer, she recognized among dead his own father. His bloody face and frozen sight were like a cry of despair. The world collapsed for her at that moment. Anger and pain took over, Veronica screamed, feeling fear fill her heart. It seemed that this scene forever will remain in front of her with eyes, capturing her, a heartfelt cry. Knees they gave way, she fell next to the body father. Veronica, trembling, touched his cold hand, as if trying to get him back, whispering words that no one will hear anymore. I felt something foreign on me presence. Her sight settled on a figure, dark creatures with burning red eyes. A devilish aura enveloped everything, around, penetrating into her consciousness. Veronica experienced horror. Her intelligence struggled with awareness, reality happening. Creature slowly approached. Its dark the outlines left no chance of salvation. A thin beam of light fell on her face when I realized that looks evil straight in the eye. Body was paralyzed by fear, and consciousness clung to the last grain's hopes. The demon leaned towards her, stretching out bloody hand as if wishing touch. At that moment, Veronica felt like time froze, and her world collapsed finally. She suddenly lost consciousness from overexertion, collapsing to the floor. When a man with fiery red hair appeared in the hall, he found her, lying surrounded darkness and destruction. Man with a glance came up closer. His words awakened Veronica, but in her eyes shock and fear were still splashing. The question is, what is this? Hung in the air, leaving feeling anxiety. Haired man notices that in the destroyed place, full silence and loneliness, someone survived. His look alert, voice saturated worry. He is ready meet unknown. Veronica feels pressure on herself. People passing by look at her with horror and disgust. She feels myself a stranger in this world, as if all of her essence calls rejection. Whisper crowds, it's growing. Someone will finally find out her. Panic and fear are reflected in their faces. They retreat as if they don't see a girl, but something scary and alien. In the head, Veronica rushes by the idea that everyone loves her, but these feelings seem to be artificial. She as if is in an illusory world where reality distorted by bright colors. Illusion collapses, crowd rushes in all directions. As if fleeing from the monster, Veronica, standing in the center of chaos, realizes her alienation and helplessness. The red-haired man lowers himself in front of Veronica, heavily breathing. She tries to hold him back, asking him not to leave, but fear and despair overflowing there both of them. The man screams in horror, blaming her in that she is a monster. She looks at him with pain and bewilderment, not understanding why everything is from her they are running. Reflection in the broken mirror reveals the terrible truth. Veronica sees a monster in himself, and around fragments fly apart, as if the world is being torn apart. She comes to his senses in fear, not understanding what was Lee. Is this a dream or reality? Its red eyes shine, full misunderstanding and melancholy. A man in a cloak, getting lost in his feelings, painfully admits that he is burning from within. His words are like reflect emotional pain, Veronica. The world around dry and deserted, like reflection their internal states. Veronica hard breathes, leaning on her knees. Her face distorted pain, she struggles with internal flour. There are drops of blood on the floor nearby, a symbol of something terrible happening in her consciousness or tele. Young woman is trying rise but screams, realizing that she loses control. In front of her appears a mysterious man with a piercing voice. With his gaze, he seems to know what is happening to her. Man with a cold calmness, speaks Veronica, what she is associated with the monster. He leans closer as if wants help her, but his words awaken anxiety in her. Eyes Veronica are filling up scarlet light. She recoils, demanding explanations. Her voice is full of despair, but the man remains unshakable confidence, continuing hang over her. Asks coldly, thirstly she is the blood that looks. His words penetrate her consciousness, forcing to face the truth from which she ran. He warns that even having quenched thirst, she will not get rid of the torment. Veronica tensely breathes, fighting the desires that threaten her destroy. Manhwa states that thirst will kill her either morally or physically. Veronica furiously requires let go her, but realizes that there is no choice. Young woman looks straight at the man. Her appearance changes. Broken determination turns into a strong will, as if accepts challenge, throwing away doubts. The man reminds her that life for which she fights will full suffering, but there is a note in his voice, respect for the one who ready to go through fire to save himself. Veronica, exhausted and frightened, found herself on the floor of the destroyed buildings where she is coldly interrogated by a man with fiery red hair. He offers her a choice, either a quick, painless death or something else but unknown. Inside, Veronica arises doubt whether it is worthy she life. She remembers shadows past which they force her think about it, wants to leave she at all live, after all her existence was full pain and suffering. Memories return her to childhood. Gossip adults accuse Veronica in illness her mother's, claiming that she became the cause. Tragedies, pain, loss and guilt overwhelm her, leaving deep trace. In consciousness pops up mockery surrounding children. They repeat her cruel words, father who daily wished her death. Humiliation cause her pain and sensation uselessness in this world. Veronica comes to the conclusion that her life could have ended long ago. She thinks that if it were her place another, he would have given up long ago and preferred die, unable to withstand such pressure and loneliness. Suddenly, she understands that, despite everything, she never wanted death. Her covers new feeling, desire, live. She for the first time clearly formulates their thoughts and pronounces them confidently. Through tears, Veronica shouts out, that once live. Her voice trembles, but in it is felt firmness and strength. Her eyes are filling up with a light that the years have not extinguished suffering. The red-haired man looks at her, realizing importance her words. He softly concerns her hair, like recognizing her choosing and accepting her new strength and determination. Her sight meets him and he congratulates her with rebirth. Veronica understands that now she became someone else, a person who ready fight for your own existence. Kiss as if becomes a symbol of it new life. She feels like inside leaves thirst pain, leaving a place for hope and strength. Veronica acquires yourself again. Veronica, exhausted and frightened, finds comfort and embraces red-haired the man who saved her. She feels like he's acting like Providence itself and she can't believe in your luck. She woke up, feels strange bewilderment. Her sight froze on the man, and she trying to understand that happened. Sharp changes inside know they force doubt reality. The red-haired man looks straight into the eyes Veronica, telling her that he saved her, but for this, she lost her humanity. His words make her to experience horror, and she starts to realize new reality. State Veronica becomes tense. She doesn't understand what is happening and begs explain to her what he did. Her anxiety, it gets stronger, but the man retains it calm, preparing for explanations. The man says that Veronica linked her fate with a monster named Bahamut. This is shocking her, after all consequences of this union unknown, and may be tragic for her. He warns that any a man who has merged with this, a creature that cannot survive without the sacred forces. This his statement only enhances her fears, after all her life now hanging by a thread. Veronica is trying to remember what brought her to this situation. She manages to remember that I was looking for his own father, but thoughts about it seem to be now inappropriate in light what is happening. The red-haired man rudely interrupts her thoughts, commands concentrate, and follow his instructions to survive. Veronica feels that she is left only trust to him. He demands that she from now on listened only him. Veronica starts realize the seriousness of its situations, though her soul is tormented doubt and fear of the unknown. The man looks at her with determination, making it clear that he will become her, the only one support. Veronica feels like a world is opening up before her new path, full darkness and trials. Veronica and her satellite hiding in the ruins building. He's trying her calm down, but around tense atmosphere. Voices behind the wall, they say that no one can leave until they find you, everyone, causing fear among the heroes. Soldiers led by the Holy Order's deputy commander, Philip von Pittelsbach, organize a cleanup of the area. Their task is to identify survivors and prevent escape potentially dangerous persons. Philip explains to his own assistant that they are looking for a person who merged with the monster. This human counts a heretic who betrayed God. The atmosphere is heating up. The soldiers are, in effect, mercilessly. Veronica listens conversations from shelters, her satellite tense, realizing that them threatens deadly danger. Soldiers they hunt for the likes of they, without leaving them chance of salvation. Against the backdrop of increasing pressure, satellite Veronica presses her closer, preparing for defense. In their eyes, determination mixed with anxiety, one of the soldiers approaches them shelter. Veronica clings to her in fear. Protect her. He abruptly picks her up in his arms, trying to protect Veronica, surprised and confused action satellite. Her eyes are filling up mixture confusion and mistrust. He demands that she kept silent and trust. Sputnik explains Veronica that everything he does is for her sake salvation. There is a note in his voice, cold determination. Girl realizes how much complicated this. Veronica is trying calm down, but tension continues grow. Her satellite prepares for the decisive moment, thinking about how avoid their deaths in this hopeless situations. At the end, voltage reaches its peak. Their plan is subjected to unexpected risk. Action satellite become decisive and risky, so that protect Veronica. Blonde man exploring ruins, confirming absent survivors. He wonders question, is it worth it? Lee inspect church. Pointing to the mysterious entering the church, the man realizes that she is also empty. His gaze becomes focused. He feels hidden threat, as if place keeps their gloomy. Red-haired man, Leon Berg, appears in the church, holding a dark-haired girl in his arms. He declares that waited of this moment, adding drama into the setting. The blonde man greets Leon, mentioning that he hasn't seen him in a while. There is a feeling of tension as if their talk carries hidden background. The blonde man notices related residents whom represent house survivors. They explain to him that they test for merging with the monster, increasing. Leon holds the girl Veronica in a warm clothes. She looks like weak, and he pronounces a mysterious phrase about merging with a monster. On the screen flickers vision. Veronica with red, her image is permeated with her eyes, mysticism and threat. This moment Veronica suddenly realizes their red eyes. Her sight becomes wary, as if she herself is afraid his own condition and its consequences. Leon weakens, realizing that the transfer of responsibilities deputy loses meaning because of the opening circumstances. His internal conflict enhanced. The blonde man looked arrogantly declares to Leon that never been to him more evenly, finishing their tense dialogue with a note contempt and superiority. Leon Berg, squeezing shoulders Veronica, reproachfully looked into her eyes. His voice sounded cold, reminding her of the escape and betrayal that Leon is fierce talked about how as his detachment was abandoned nights. Before the eyes, Veronica was faced with a picture. The fallen were lying. He accused her in her rejection of faith, as if the pain itself sounded in her voice, deceived soul. Veronica, looking at Leon, finally recognized him. This, the person in front of whom she felt myself weak and confused, turned out to be the one knight. Appeared nearby young man in elegant form, given question of personality Veronica. His icy sight slid over the. Leon hugged Veronica, defending her his own presence. She, trembling, could hardly contain her fear and excitement. Leon, with a mocking smile, asked questions that tore apart her to pieces, as if he wanted to hear the truth that she was afraid to admit even to myself. He raised her in his arms without effort, ignoring condemning views. For him didn't have any more meanings that think others. His determination to protect her was unshakable. Young human contemptuously threw that fallen sun, maybe go further into the abyss. His words only emphasized abyss between them, but Leon leaned towards Veronica, tenderly touching her, like as if trying to assure her that God will no longer interfere in their fate. A round-blossomed blonde knight reproaches Leon Berg for hypocrisy, considering it is unacceptable that the person who dedicated himself to God gave in worldly temptations. Leon, leaving the knight, leaves him behind. Against the backdrop of the destroyed buildings and traces of blood, blonde knight, in despair, screams his name as if Leon holds someone wounded in his arms, his gaze firm but fulfilling hidden anger. It's like once say that action's night will never be forgiven. Night. Veronica ends up in Leon's arms, screaming for him to let go her. He reproaches her, reminding him that Leon confirms his identity and grins, adds that he is a hunter of the demon Bahamut. His calm mixed with a hint mystery, leaving Veronica is confused. Veronica ponders the man in front of her, noting his red hair, a scar on his face, and a black cloak. Leon, with a slight mockery, states that even children know his name, emphasizing their fame. However, he clarifies, understands Veronica. With what? Demon Bahamut presented like a monster with burning eyes and ugly figure, his appearance accompanied by horror, reminding of the punishment for human pride or error. Against the backdrop of destruction and chaos, the demon becomes a symbol of divine wrath. People flee in fear, and horror is reinforced by scenes of death. Veronica hears conversations women about that Bahamut amazes only heretics of the South. She is set question about saints' knights. Against a bright and calm background city's buyer, Veronica tells that this city is located under protection of the deity and is considered safe place. She looks like joyful and confident, shining in the sun. However, the idyllic image is crumbling. The city has already been subjected to attack. In contrast to the upper and lower levels, buyer visible destruction, Veronica realizes that God has abandoned them, and this amazing her to the depths of her soul. Her eyes blushing from shock, she stands surrounded darkness. Leon Berg, by the fireplace in silence, ponders the monsters that represent home danger. He shares concerns that a man who has merged with these beings becomes threat. The hard fate of those merged with monsters is revealed. Without a saint forces their intelligence obeys the monster that leads to. Leon explains that in order to survive necessary constantly replenish your holy power. Against the backdrop of intimate moment between him and Veronica, it becomes clear that their alliance is. Leon admits that his actions saved Veronica. However, her bewilderment calls question that's what prompted him to do it. This is because his mission Veronica reminds Leon that he is a monster hunter and recalls the words of the knights who urged him to destroy everyone who was subjected to merger. In her eyes, visible challenge, and she asks why Leon decided save her despite all the rules. This question makes him think, awakening contradictory feelings that he can't straightaway explain. Leon looks away, realizing that his salvation Veronica violated his duty. He understands that before him stands not just a monster. Veronica, huddled in the corner, looked frightened, but not broken. Leon Berg, standing before her in his gloomy armor, sternly reminded that exactly Leon approached. His red eyes were burning determination. He believed that only she will be able to stop unknown threat. He spoke with confidence, forcing Veronica looked at him in confusion, not understanding the meaning of his words. Her hands are slightly trembled when she touched his. Veronica tried to explain that never aspired to great feats. Her voice trembled, but she was honest. Leon, smiling, only firmly. Leon began to tell about the monstrous threat that spread through cities, leaving chaos and destruction in its wake. He described creatures that, having put aside the threat, he explained, could start with one city and then spread throughout country. He saw terror. Leon expressed hope that if destroy one of the monsters, its offspring will die with him. His voice was full of faith. Looking at Veronica, he explained that all these creatures can be the generation of one source. His hypothesis, he did conclusion that if you find and destroy the root cause, it will end the threat once and for all. Leon was confident that his plan will work, and Veronica remained thoughtful. Her sight was serious. Despite the fear and uncertainty, Leon's words began light as Veronica frowned and asked question why what's happening has attitude towards her. Her anxiety is reinforced when Leon takes out a flask tied with belts and reminds Veronica what she claimed that knows how looks like Bahamut. His tone is calm but insistent, which calls more tension. He specifies how looked like a creature that Veronica I saw her. Red eyes light up doubt, and she describes strange creation, headless, but with red eyes. Having heard this, Veronica suddenly freezes, her thoughts they are confused. She is horrified, realizes that description matches the monster from her visions. Remembering their visions, Veronica, I'm sure that what I watched, it was different. Her voice trembles, but she claims that the monster is from her past. Leon confirms her words, agreeing as if checking her reactions. His composure hides internal thoughts, but he clearly understands. Leon puts forward hypothesis, that monster that I saw it, and it is there first Bahamut. He claims that Veronica the only one related to this creation, hinting. Man in armor asks her accompany him, telling about everything their own visions. He is sure that her memories can prove to be the key. Having heard this, Veronica is lost. Her sight darkened, and she feels myself tool in someone else's game. The idea that, however, she can't find the strength to object. The mystery of Bahamut and the connection with him are drawing her in, her all stronger. Veronica explains with tension in her voice that her value for interlocutors, it is not in her personality and in its eyes that have special meaning. Her face expresses. Leon Berg, standing on the contrary, he looks at her with a smile that radiates confidence. His remark, full sarcasm. Veronica stands in front of Leon, suspiciously looking at him. She requires evidence of his words about the past. He looks calmly but tensely. As Leon calls himself, his calm face hides a storm inside. He understands that every phrase now has weight. His memories of the terrible Leon's past comes to light. He is a knight, elevated to the holy order despite his origins. A young hero, gifted, honored, but burdened. But at the critical moment he could not stand it. Leon, being at the forefront, retreated. This act weakened his soul. They began to call him a traitor to God, a knight who lost faith. Sins and vices tormented his soul. Rumors multiplied, becoming dangerous echo. Contact him now seemed dangerous. Leon is a man whose reputation destroyed, whose actions are deprived light, but a shadow of his past as if Veronica sees in him hidden threat. She understands that his goals can be aimed at using her forces. Inside, no. She sharp declares that it does not intend to follow him. Her gratitude for saving does not cancel her doubts. Leon understands her fear, but in his eyes, however, Veronica feels like Leon is a stranger to whom her paths diverge. Suddenly, strange feeling rolls over her, forcing weaken and clutch your chest. Heart Veronica beats unevenly. She's stunned, not realizing what is happening. Her body betrays her, and disturbing thoughts only strengthen unclear feelings. Veronica, kneeling before the fire, listens to Leon, who tells her an important detail earlier eluded them conversation. His confident voice makes her anxious and wants to resist. He emphasizes that Veronica has no choice. Her fear grips her, but she doesn't give in despite the pressure with Leon's side. His threats are becoming. Leon announces that Veronica maybe choose only between subordination or death. His words are like a hammer blow, forcing her realize reality his situations. Leon, smiling, mockingly asks, "Are they needed? Did he give her any proof that he was serious?" His expression faces frightens, emphasizing his superiority. When Veronica is trying protest, Leon draws his sword. His threatening silhouette becomes a symbol of hopelessness, her provisions. She freezes. Leon, holding weapon, ruthlessly states that if she won't follow him, she won't have any left chances survive. Veronica, gathering all her courage, tells Leon that he has to protect the weak, not to threaten them. Her rage breaks through fear, showing strength of. Leon coldly replies that she doesn't seem to understand yet essence of what is happening. His threat acquires new measurement as he moves his hand closer. Leon states that from this moment Veronica no longer weak. He calls her Bahamut, the monster whose fate is now associated with destruction. Veronica, looking at Leon through tears, hears his cold words about that she is a monster that devours people. Her face becomes reflection fear and inner struggle. Leon leaned over Veronica, whose eyes were burning with a plea. He reminded her of her decision to live, appealing to her will. Despite the severity of his words, Veronica, looking at Leon, perceived him as a savior in a world where there is no more God. But I saw it in his eyes' darkness, ordering her to go. I doubted it, but her thoughts interrupted Leon's kiss. Determination and despair intertwined in this moment, turning their mutual pain an insurmountable connection. Fire languages surrounded them, embracing and absorbing. Leon suggested Veronica go to hell together, like as if their souls found each other in chaos. Leon continued tests, checking her boundaries. He showed her that all he wants from her is simple thing, her complete trust and Veronica lost in the chaos of thoughts, standing among destroyed cities. She tried to find answers on how to deal with the situation where all is collapsing. Her world was in ruins, as if symbolizing her internal struggle. The question, why me, weighed on her, plunging into deep reflection and despair. Talking to Leon made her think about what for she fights. Leon's words, as always harsh, they hit her in the very essence entities. Leon affirmatively named Veronica the monster, taking her by the shoulder. His confession, it seemed, simultaneously awareness his nature fell upon Veronica. She realized that the monster in her is her strength, which maybe destroy or save the world if she will accept yourself and yours purpose. Leon, with warmth, looks at Veronica, softly touching her shoulder. He admits that needs her despite her doubts. Veronica sees in this they walking through a snowy field. Veronica feels cargo responsibility. Her internal thoughts remind her that, as would know where Leon's. Veronica reflects on the fact that maybe use this one situation for your own survival. Her red eyes are burning determination. In the distance, the city is visible, where they are heading. Leon announces that we'll stop here for one night. Veronica attentively peers into the majestic gates, feeling anxiety. In the room, Veronica stands at the window, seeing the chaos outside the walls due to refugees. Leon warns her so that she didn't go. Suddenly, Veronica feels pungent smell. She closes face hand, trying to figure out where it comes from. Anxiety is getting stronger, and she decides. She carefully descends into the dark, a place where the smell becomes stronger. In the heart, girl's fear is growing, but her determination stronger. She moves on. Veronica sees traces of blood. Her sight falls on the dark spots that look like how-proof recent tragedies. She loses balance and falls, shocked scene. In her consciousness flickers thought, something terrible happened here recently. Leon suddenly appears, tearing her thoughts. Leon looks at her with disapproval, asking what she does. Veronica, that's all still confused, trying to explain their actions, but her anxiety and fear do not allow words. Leon seemed stern and frightening, standing in the shadows. His stern gaze and silent presence created feeling forces. He was preparing for an When Veronica carefully came up, Leon looked at her. His calm voice told her to be neat, as if he was afraid that she will do something careless. Later, by the fire, Leon spoke with restraint. Filed Veronica cooked, I'm going. Despite the cold look, in his actions was noticing how Veronica has difficulty eating. He asks, is that all? Does she have good? His voice was softer than. Leon handed her the sleeping bag. Trying do. This is as natural as possible. However, her surprised expression, the faces made him think that. Veronica with interest studied the gift, wondering why it's not just a bedroom bag. In response, he explained that gave her holy power, which helps save mind but can't heal wounds. There was regret, realizing importance their own words. He softly asked her, take care of yourself while carefully applied medicine. Veronica thought about Leon's words. Her face turned pink. She avoided his gaze, lost in thoughts about what happened between them, and Leon, keeping calm down, reported that ready share with her everything he has there is. Veronica still couldn't understand that what's going on in his head, but Veronica stood by the window, thoughtfully, watching the sunset. Her sight was full of mixed emotions, internal doubts and attempts to figure out what's going on. Leon, dressed in a strict dark outfit, alone sat in the room, looking at his hands. His posture expressed thoughtfulness, as if he was. Veronica, with apprehension, remembered the words said by other women. Their conversations made her think about how much sincere men who lead myself to. When Leon spoke to her, he asked a question that seemed to trouble him. His tone was soft, but its purpose was to clarify the relationship, which was becoming. Leon looked at Veronica, and his words, filled with shade sarcasm, were attempt to destroy distance between them. He hinted at their closeness, emphasizing. Veronica furiously reacted to his words with indignation and embarrassment. She could not accept that their actions, although. Leon, slightly smiling, he reminded her that all their actions had certain goal, and set under doubt her repentance for. Her indignation burst out. Veronica struggled to find words, trying to convince him of your maturity and awareness. Leon, in turn, When Leon took her by the hand, Veronica felt sudden warmth. She remembered their first kiss that turned out to be for her unexpected, but mutual. At that moment, a tension arose between them. Tension. Leon, despite her doubts, was able to show that. Veronica, a little bit confused, she hears something unexpected from Leon, recognition that she to him I like her. Heart freezes, and the face floods. Leon, sitting in a relaxed pose, shares with Veronica his own look at the relationship, noticing that even priests. With genuine surprise, Veronica states that many bastards in their kingdom, children priests. Her voice sounds reservedly, but in the eye. Leon, lost in his own thoughts, shared internal disgust at the hypocrisy observed among the holy men. His view becomes. Again, showing his straightforwardness, Leon admits that divides opinion Veronica on the abomination situations. His sarcastic grin. As he says goodbye, Leon suggests Veronica to rest, intending to do so inspect local surroundings. There is a hint of soft. Veronica, reservedly hugging herself, stands in the room, her sight executed confusion and tension, as if she fights internal doubts. Sunset. Leon, with red hair and a cold-blooded expression, faces, it seems, immersed in his own thoughts. His look filled mysterious, as if he was a majestic city with golden towers appears before Veronica. She stunned this spectacle, her thoughts filled questions. The city. Veronica, illuminated with light stars, walks through the night forest. Her expression speaks of determination, but also of. In horror, her eyes flare up red when she discovers a wounded man. His blood spreads across the ground, and Veronica is trying to realize that happened. Her intelligence. An ominous atmosphere permeates the scene. Veronica immerses himself in his dark instincts. Her face expresses strange enjoyment. Veronica comes to his senses and realizes that she did. Her hands are shaking, her gaze downcast. She repeats that. She lies next to Leon, who calm as if nothing happened. Her thoughts filled contradictions. Even in his presence, she feels that of this. Veronica, drawn to Leon, is on the verge of acceptance their own desires. She close to him, her fingers touch his skin, and in his head sounds. Veronica is horrified, retreats, closing face with hands. She is trying to convince yourself that she's not a monster. Veronica, exhausted and depressed, sat on the floor, pressed to the ground. Her breath was heavy, there was pain in her face. Veronica distorted with pain when suddenly in front of her Leon appeared. His presence interrupted her thoughts. He raised her with a smile, noticing. When Veronica looked at Leon, her heart painfully shrank. It seemed to her that feeling guilt does not let go, but memories torment her. Leon noticed. Veronica, trembling from within horror, said that was once Bahamut. Her confession as if stopped time. Leon looked at her surprised, and her the shadow on the wall reminded. I remembered standing on the edge of a cliff, watching the shining city, and feeling unbearable hunger. Blood, the fallen paladin seemed. Veronica admitted to herself that she ate the paladin. Her sight filled with fear and self-hatred. Memory pierced her, making her feel depth of what. However, Leon, holding her by the shoulders, firmly said that it wasn't her. He peered into her eyes, trying to convey that she was not to. Leon tried to calm down Veronica, saying that I did nothing wrong. Nightlight penetrated the room, illuminating their figures. his confidence. Veronica suddenly realized that all what's happening around is because of her. Her hands were shaking when she closed her mouth, trying to suppress her memories transported her to a distant past where father accused her in death mothers. He sat in the corner, holding bottle, and Veronica, lamenting the pain, covers her mouth with her hands, holding back tears. She remembers how Leon squeezes Veronica's hands, his gaze strict, but in it, hidden anxiety. He convinces her let go depressed emotions, calling stop hold back. Veronica is experiencing strange feeling relief, remembering how she always expected support. Leon, despite his cold and strict appearance, radiates calm down. Veronica feels like his confidence and persistence help her cope with confusion and melancholy. After some hesitation, she asks him for help. A simple phrase about support sounds like a plea, echoing in Leon's heart. Leon admits to himself that his feelings for Veronica become too much strong. He barely holds back their emotions. Fear destroy a fragile balance that has arisen between them. Veronica compares their feelings with fire that absorbs her from the inside. In her, there is little life left, what brings warmth, but they find themselves in each other's arms, and Veronica understands that Leon has become her salvation. Her fears and doubts retreat before the feeling that they share. They are sitting together, and Veronica feels that the world around loses meaning. Leon gives her confidence that she is not alone, but thoughts about the past Under starry sky, Leon and Veronica find comfort in each other. There unites tenderness, and Veronica understands that Leon reflects on his goals, standing in front of the majestic cathedral. His thoughts focused on the sacred city of Karth, which he realizes He frowns, feeling growing heaviness, their own solutions. Internal conflict is getting stronger, and Leon thinks established circumstances the worst combination from all possible. Suddenly, he remembers his father, quietly pronouncing, "This word is like trying to get back something lost." His look becomes thoughtful, and there is a little tension in the gestures softens. Veronica, lying on the bed, mutters in her sleep names close people. Her face seems disturbing, as if dreams they carry away her into another painful world of memories. Leon softly concerns her forehead, watching her. It seems to him that Veronica sees in a dream those she loved. This moment awakens in him bitter tenderness. He reflects on the inevitability tragedies. Even if everything around will collapse or will survive, for her consequences will remain painful. Veronica wakes up with anxiety, not yet realizing where she is located. Her intelligence seems confused, but awakening. Leon accepts decision not to let go Veronica. He understands that they connected common past and future. He will have to make it so that elsewhere Veronica recalls a moment from past. They give her a dagger with bright patterns, which awakens feelings in her gratitude and trust. Leon tells her that dagger will return. This, a simple gesture, turns out a significant symbol of their connections, and promises that Leon, despite Veronica with doubt looks at Leon's gift. This is graceful weapons lying next to the dishes. Her silence makes Leon think, didn't like it. Leon explains that chose weapon especially for her, because it perfect emphasizes depth her eye. These words make Veronica surprise and light embarrassment. It is recognized that I've always loved camellias. Flowers start intertwine with her thoughts, revealing touching connection with the gift. She likes it, Leon. Veronica remembers how she had wanted to get a weapon for a long time, but did not expect that she will get it in such unusual circumstances. Leon notices scratch on the neck Veronica and caring asks, took advantage Lishi ointment. His attention it seems unexpected to her but pleasant. He examines the wound tenderly, touching necks Veronica. Her embarrassment it gets stronger, but she allows to him help, feeling trust and warmth in his touch. Leon explains that the ointment is needed evenly distribute so that she was useful. His voice sounds softly, but in it feels like hidden care. Veronica understands that he truly takes care of her. She gets lost in thoughts, feeling that Leon's attention is distracted. It confused her, but at the same time, she turns attention to his close attention look and asks herself why such moments they force her lose confidence. between them. Sight Veronica becomes gentle when she realizes how much Leon's words and actions affect her. She has set the question, is who more? Veronica, sitting at the table, reflects on Leon's behavior. She admits to herself that she is not used to this kind of thing, kindness. Leon looks at the embarrassed Veronica with ease, with a smile that her annoying girl with anger asks, laughs whether he is above her, but gets evasive. Outraged, Veronica accuses Leon of not only denies your own fun, but also continues to mock. Leon justifies himself by assuring. Leon with a smile offers Veronica stop being angry and eat. His calm annoys girl more stronger, but she tries hold back their emotions, feeling lung embarrassed. Leon reminds Veronica what she spent a lot of energy last night, and she needs it restore energy. Suddenly he approaches her, causing Veronica categorically refuses there is, stating that if Leon continues tease her, she at all will stop talking to him. His reaction remains calm, that her only more. Leon says that this dish was prepared especially for her and looks at her with a soft but persistent expression. Veronica, blushing, understands that Leon asks her try although would peace, claiming that for him this will big honor. His tone becomes more soft, that a little disarms girl, but her embarrassment in his gaze flickers thoughtfulness. Leon reflects on the fact that sympathy makes people more vulnerable and easily. Veronica and Leon are sitting at the table, immersed in their thoughts. Her irritation gradually is changing embarrassment. Veronica noticed a portrait of a woman with flowers, feeling strange excitement. Woman from paintings reminded her of someone, and the owner of the house confirmed. Mistress told that my daughter recently got married and now lives far away, in another provinces. Veronica, holding back emotions, listened, understanding that the woman admitted that she was having a hard time be far from her daughter, but she is glad that she is happy. Veronica thought about the meaning. Talk moved to the warmth of family relations. The hostess noticed love Veronica to her relatives. That touched girl. Her thoughts took her deep, thinking about my own close. Mistress suddenly asked a joking question about Leon, assuming that he was her husband. This caught Veronica taken by surprise, and she embarrassedly began to justify. Suddenly, Veronica felt inexplicable alarm. Her eyes shone determination. I made a mental promise to myself. Woman warned Veronica from that to go far away from loved ones, reminding how difficult sometimes parents worry separation. These words were reflected in. Veronica tried to cope with the surging emotions, but the hostess noticed her condition. Carefully, she asked, "That's all, is it okay?" That caused interior the. With difficulty holding back tears, Veronica admitted that misses her mother. Her voice trembled, and the hostess tried to console her, showing his sincere kindness and understanding. Woman reminded Veronica, "What tears don't just appear, and you have to hold them back, they're harmful." These words. Veronica is in a tense conversation with a woman who asks where her husband at this difficult moment. Girl looks like confused, trying to find an answer, but tears treacherous. She embarrassedly lowers her head, clutching a handkerchief in her hands. Veronica, Iso, trying his best, contain tears. Leon leisurely enters. His confident sight stops at Veronica. It's like evaluates happening, silently watching her condition. Woman with a smile hugs Leon by the shoulder, uniting him with Veronica. The girl cautiously looks at them without realizing that happens and tries to cope with the confusion that takes possession. She hears offer holding hands, which calls embarrassment. The woman warmly takes their hands and puts them there together, creating a moment of closeness. Leon saves calm down. Veronica embarrassedly explains that Leon is not her husband, trying to clarify the situation. However, their hands remain connected, causing her mixed feelings. This moment becomes for Veronica emotional. After all, the touch of Leon's hand awakens unexpected feelings in her feelings. Her eyes are. Leon calms down her, offering to talk later. The woman leaves, leaving there together. Veronica lowers his head, hiding their emotions, but in the heart is a. Leon with a light smile jokes, "Calling myself her husband." Veronica sharp moves away, but laughs breaks through their dispute. In their interaction, Leon worriedly looks at Veronica, who turns away from him with his gaze. He puts his hand on her shoulder, trying to understand what happened. Girl looks like lost. Veronica feels strange anxiety, and her eyes flare up scarlet light. The force awakened inside. It causes her panic. She starts realize that is happening Suddenly, Veronica realizes that this Bahamut is a creature from her the worst nightmares. She is trying to explain it's Leon, and her voice, Leon and Veronica hugging in a deserted corridor. He tries to find the words to understand how proceed further. Girl trembles, but in silence can be heard echo. Huge monsters with eyes start destroy the city. Their ominous silhouettes rise above the ruins, and their bright eyes seem to be abyss. Horror covers everyone who looks at them. Resident cities are trying escape, screaming in horror. One of monsters suddenly attacks a group of people. Shouts of "Save me! Me!" break the silence, emphasizing hopelessness situations. Leon and Veronica. They go outside and see chaos. She, shocked, does not believe it, his own eyes. Her voice trembles when she realizes that the Bahamuts even got through here. Leon decisively frowns, thinking over the... Veronica, with horror, looks at the walls cities, realizing that they couldn't stop monsters. She loses confidence, seeing how easily the enemy overcame protection that she considered impenetrable. One of monsters notices Veronica. His scarlet eye suddenly focuses on her. She is shocked by the realization that he saw her and trembles, realizing that he can no longer hide. Veronica trying to figure out how the monster found her despite her attempts hide. She notices strange connection and starts realize that enemy maybe feel its power. Fear is replaced determination to act. Veronica, standing among strange atmosphere, feels someone's presence. She sees ominous eyes watching her from darkness. Gloom. Around reminds dungeon, penetrating into it thoughts. Understanding that it's happening, Veronica clings to Leon's cloak. She is firmly convinced that creature is in the dungeon. Her guess is based on the strange energy that she feels like it's going through the sewer. Leon, pay attention. Listening her words, thinks. He is silent, but in his gaze, readable alarm. The threat that speaks Veronica clearly demands immediate actions, but he evaluates situation, maintaining composure. Veronica trying to figure out how much monsters hiding below, but confused replies that she doesn't know. She feels myself vulnerable, even despite determination fight. Leon holds weapon ready, understanding seriousness their provisions. Leon does conclusion that feelings Veronica associated with the creature Bahamut. His presence threatens the city, and the hero understands that delay could turn into a disaster. He prepares for battle, and anxiety is growing. Before my eyes, Veronica and Leon arise. Horrible picture. Silhouettes monsters stretch all over the city. There are so many of them that they seem to be limitless. Heroes understand that situation goes beyond their control. Veronica offers report what happened, nightly order. Her voice trembles with tension, but she is firmly convinced that act need to immediately. Her determination inspires Leon, who nods in agreement. In the head, Veronica arises the idea that the order might come too late. She tries to suppress fear by thinking, they can lee. They will hold off the monsters until they arrive. Help. Her thoughts intersect with Leon's concerns. Veronica recalls the words about those who cooperates with monsters. There they think traitors, and punishment serves death. She understands that their actions can be misunderstood, but there is no other way out except struggle. No. Veronica reflects on their escape from Bayrina. They managed to escape, unnoticed, but now the stakes are still high above. I'm sure it's for the sake of salvation. Axeldorf necessary act quietly and decisively, even taking risks by yourself. Veronica with anxiety looks at Leon, wondering, will cope whether he is with the order that she afraid to voice. Leon looks away sullenly, deciding what to do. Tension between them grows. Along the city walls are approaching ominous creatures burning with the eyes, and Veronica understands that wait help, there are already too many nights late. She offers solve the problem here and now. Veronica with a plea looks at Leon, begging him to save not only the city, but the people. Her voice trembles, but there is determination in her eyes, encourages Leon to take up the sword. Leon, silently having accepted her request, asks Veronica take cover. She looks to him, following with hope, clasping his hands and biting his lip with excitement. The city is engulfed threat. Veronica, looking at Leon moving away, thinks that now everything will be okay. She prays that he will make it in time and that his actions will save those who cannot myself protect. Leon enters the battle with monsters. His strength and fury they hit, he beats like embodiment lightning. Veronica mentally repeats his name, admiring his courage. Leon loudly gives orders to the soldiers to check walls to strengthen the defense. His wounds, they bleed, but he continues led with a cold shoulder calculation, not allowing panic gripped the fighters. He orders the soldiers to rise bridge to strengthen protection cities. His confidence inspires people despite the chaos surrounding them there. Residents follow his instructions. Veronica, gathering her will into a fist, helps civilians to take refuge in a safe place. She calls children and women, showing the way to shelter, realizing importance. Watching the development events, Veronica believes that Leon can save them. His courage becomes a symbol of hope for all who watches his struggle. Veronica stands in fear in the face dangers, and Leon, as if protector, hugs her, calming her down his own presence. She is shocked by what is happening, and he, focused. In dialogue, Veronica is trying to turn Leon's attention to the Need Salvation residents, but he firmly insists that she prepared their things. In his decision, it feels like strictness and some hidden pain. Veronica, worried, follows Leon and tries to understand his words. He mentions the coming threat that is approaching faster than Can was expect. Situation seems almost hopeless. Leon stops and looks towards the city walls, realizing that internal forces cities are unable to cope with the impending trouble. His thoughts filled painful determination. Veronica, shocked by his words. She starts to understand his intentions, but it terrifies myself the thought that this means leaving the inhabitants to their own devices' fates. Her face reads, conflict emotions. Against the backdrop of the sunset sky, resident cities in panic, they are running. Veronica realizes that this care is real betrayal of people. The thought of salvation cities fills her despair. Leon explains Veronica what it is impossible to save everyone, and we have to do choice. His words cut her soul, but they sound sincerity. He admits that chose her, what puts her higher total the rest. Leon opens up more, stating that for him, Veronica more important than the city itself and its inhabitants. The words sound like declaration of love, but cause Veronica only confusion and internal protest. Veronica, tormented contradictions, is given question how you can leave people to die. Her emotional state manifests itself in every gesture, every thought, as if tears apart her from the inside. Leon, staring, looking at Veronica, reminds her that she should unconditionally obey his command. His eyes are burning determination, but in her look is reflected vulnerability and fear, and in the air their drama. Leon, a red-haired man, stands, dirty with blood, with determination, with a look, as if indignantly. His tense expression shows struggle and toughness what is happening around him. Veronica, staggering, tries rise, her dress dirty, pain on her face, ankle damaged, what makes it difficult movement. She sees in front of him incomprehensible sort. With tension and fear, Veronica orders herself to go without stopping. The inner voice is full of despair, but determination, fight for your life, conquers the fear of the unknown. Sight Veronica falls on Leon, who is standing at the entrance to the hotel. The man fights with enemies with her bare hands. She reflects on his weaknesses, comparing himself with him, and experiences reproach to myself. Overcoming Veronica, trembling, convinces herself yourself in need live. She understands that her fate depends on her actions, and fear is replaced desperate desire survive any price. Dim light illuminates figure Veronica. She raises her head, her hands reaching for the rope or doors. She understands that the only one the goal is to survive despite the pressure circumstances. Two men block Veronica's path, their faces full doubts. One asks her a question, hinting at her madness, but her determination only is getting stronger. She convinces herself that there is no way out. Calmly, but confidently, Veronica reports that her waiting outside. She decides go out quickly, so that avoid dangers, not giving surrounding doubt her intention. Men, having heard Leonberg's name is being discussed her connection with him. The doubts in their voices intensify tension, but Veronica saves self-control, keeping your secrets real emotions. Against the backdrop of tension, silence, Veronica continues her way, holding back her fear. She knows that ahead, her waiting a new battle, but Leon's determination and faith become her support. Veronica stands in the light room. The tense atmosphere thickens. The man warns with a threatening gesture, "Don't let the second one out, girl." Anxiety is growing, hinting at the danger surrounding her. Veronica notices suspicious movement. Her red eye gives out internal fight when before it comes to pass that someone is preparing to escape, and the tension is getting stronger. Crowd around her whispers about God and victims, accusing of betrayal. Veronica feels fear and despair, realizing that people expect from her more than she is ready to give. A woman in a white headscarf holds her hand, causing warmth and confusion in Veronica. Their connection suddenly becomes important in the environment hostility. Woman asks Veronica stay for now the walls won't strengthen. She explains that outside monsters becomes more and better weight security inside. Veronica hears that they worry about her, not about themselves. These words make her to ponder, doubting how much the people around are sincere. Residents they assure that walls, cities strong, and how only holes will be eliminated, everything will become calmly. However, her tense sight says the opposite. Veronica remembers the past when the city was named Beloved God. Strengthens her interior conflict, forcing doubt the promises made to her. Her interlocutor, it is recognized that the hole in the wall is not real threat, hinting at more deep problems that Veronica to come realize. She reports that a monster has penetrated through the dungeon. Hearing this as Veronica understands that strengthening the walls is pointless, and is filling up determination to act. Group residents discusses rumors about a monster that allegedly entered through the sewers. Words of defeat and panic fill air. People don't believe that a creature of such size able to go through so much narrow space. Veronica argues with the men, warning that the city is in danger, inevitable death. She convinces that the delay can cost lives, and calls leave immediately while there is opportunity. Man and woman standing together doubt the hasty conclusions. He states that there are no grounds for evacuation, not enough, and expresses trust the city's protective walls. The man with silver hair insistently claims that escape in these situations are madness. He is determined, states that, despite others' elections, will remain faithful to your home. Veronica stunned their solution, her eyes full despair and fear. She is trying to collect your thoughts, realizing that further persuasion are meaningless. She accepts their choice, though her heart, it's hard to realize. Leaving room, Veronica pronounces that every has the right to decide his own fate and heads towards the exit. Veronica touches the door pin, demonstrating determination, her movements full nervous tension, but her determination expresses that she will not back down from her paths. Elder woman says goodbye to Veronica, wishing her a safe journey paths for the sake of memory her parents. This moment is filled warmth and hidden pain. Veronica thanks residents for their kindness, her smile full gratitude, but it also readable regret that she would have to leave them in danger. Residents look after her. Man and woman remain confident in their decision stay, showing that their faith in goodness and protection, stronger fear of the unknown. Veronica, with ease with uncertainty on his face, he agrees follow Leon, who offers her a way of salvation. Her sight expresses doubts, but she realizes importance actions in this complex situations. Leon helps Veronica mount a horse, firmly holding her by the hand. Soft touch symbolizes support needed in these minutes. On the horizon are visible destroyed walls, cities filled with anxious atmosphere. Leon explains Veronica what now them need to run ISO with all his might. He asks her focus and hold on stronger. His serious her look and decisive words give her confidence despite the danger around. Before leaving, Leon transmits Veronica reins. She realizes responsibility placed on her and gathers her courage. In the background are images of the people left behind defend the city to the end, evokes in her a feeling debt. When Veronica notices scale destruction, her voice trembling with fear, she understands that those left behind are more likely all will perish, and the feeling guilt starts gnaw her from the inside. Her thoughts return to the moment when she felt strange premonition. Veronica accuses myself for not paying attention, ignored the signs of trouble, and did not warn others earlier. At night, Veronica remembers how real there seemed to be a smell of blood, but she brushed him off, thinking, "This insignificant." The internal monologue is colored with regret and feeling missed opportunities. Realizing her guilt, Veronica admits that if would she told about it earlier, then perhaps I would prevent tragedy. Her emotions are getting stronger, breaking apart between fear and pain. Leon, having heard her words, softly but confidently says that her actions, nothing would not have changed. This gives Veronica a little calm despite her torment, allowing her to focus on the present. In conclusion, Leon explains that his decision it was his own to stay and defend the city choice. Veronica understands that she only carried out his order, and this awareness makes it easier her soul, adding determination move forward. Veronica reflects on how unconditional obeying orders sometimes becomes inevitable. He recalls the words in which it feels like hidden cargo responsibility. These are not just words, but an order that requires full dedication. Watching the sunset, Veronica understands that the condition given to her is not simple an indication, but a chance to redeem their sins. In her eyes is reflected pursuit, free yourself. Veronica notices how Leon takes full responsibility. In her heart is emerging admiration for his determination. She understands that he is ready to bear the brunt pain and suffering for the sake of others. Leon realizes that this burden will become his personal test. Looking at the thorny path, he decides that I am ready to go through it alone, without hope of help or understanding. Veronica thanks Leon for saving him, noting his quick reaction. She understands that without him they would have remained in danger. Her words filled sincere with gratitude and warmth. When Veronica is interested in name horses, Leon notes that she doesn't have one. For him, this symbolically, he avoids call by name those who maybe disappear, like trying protect yourself from pain losses. However, Veronica offers give horses name, feeling connection with this wonderful creation. She wants to give her a personality, despite the contradictory Leon's feelings. Leon refuses Veronica in her request. It seems to him that give name means create emotional connection that will do loss more painful. He voices their beliefs filled bitterness. Veronica disagrees with him and calls Horse Night Star. She believes that despite the fear of loss, affection does life brighter and more saturated. Leon, looking at her sincere smile, thinks about her words. Perhaps he can learn to see the world differently, overcoming their internal fears and doubts. Veronica, with warmth, hugs Black Horse, as if is trying hand over him her tenderness. Her sight sad, but the words spoken out loud, they seem directed to herself. She persuades myself believe in your worth. Leon's gaze is full of inner pain and determination. It's like he's trying hard to say something important that gnaws at him from the inside. His words sound how promise directed Veronica, but with an echo in her own heart. The stage is filling up silence, interrupted only breathing nights. Leon and Veronica seem to be lost in their own thoughts. There the figures, distant from each other, emphasize invisible abyss between them. Veronica suddenly screams, feeling pain in leg. Leon instantly turns out to be nearby. His hands carefully touch her ankles. Checking did not happen what serious. He seems worried, almost scared. Leon carefully looks at Veronica, asking how she could have gotten hurt so suddenly. She explains that twisted her ankle while carrying luggage. Her voice sounds embarrassed, but grateful for his concern. He's careful, presses against her leg compress, trying not to hurt her. His gestures soft and caring, and at that moment a feeling arises between them, something more than just dialogue. Leon is looking around her ankle and calms down, informing that nothing serious happened. However, he advises her not to move, too active to avoid complications. They sitting by the fire, Veronica covered with a warm blanket, and Leon continues take care of her. The silence between them becomes warmer, like each the spoken word leaves trace in their hearts. She thanks him for his help, and there is a note in her voice, sincere gratitude. The fire of the campfire illuminates their faces. Doing this moment is real magical. Leon admits that nobody I didn't care about him like that before. In his eyes, readable gratitude and ease surprise, as if for the first time felt what it was like this is to be real important to someone. Veronica recalls how often she faced difficulties because of his clumsiness, but always found a way to cope on her own. This moment makes her thoughtfulness and lightness smile. By she watches the winter landscape. She notes that her current state different from usual. Something inside tells her about the danger. A look full of anxiety, looking into the distance, as if she feels premonition something unknown. Veronica takes care of Leon, offering to return it to him part his own blankets so he wouldn't freeze. Her sincerity causes him soft bewilderment, but he refuses, clearly hiding their real intentions. She ponders how she can keep warm in such harsh conditions. Having decided that necessary, Veronica, although embarrassed, decides to warm up, somehow resort to something unusual solution to keep from freezing. Leon, unable to bear its suffering, Veronica agrees share the blanket with her. They sit next to the fire, and their closeness evokes in a girl embarrassment as he remained silent, watches the fire. Veronica, full of anxiety, suggests that May wake up in the middle nights from the cold or fear. These thoughts they force her feel myself guilty for possible inconveniences that she may cause. She expresses worry about Leon because he probably is too tired. However, her awkwardness in front of him makes situation touching, creating a warm atmosphere of trust between them. Leon assures her maybe relax and don't worry. His voice is inspiring. Calm down, and Veronica starts feel yourself safe, though inside she still tear apart doubts. She is set, the question is, where did Leon get such a thing? Confidence. His calmness makes her feel admiration, and at the same time she feels like between them gradually is being installed deep mutual understanding. Snowy landscape around becomes a symbol of them fragile but growing connections. The warmth of the fire and their trust in each other is created feeling coziness even in the cold, harsh nights. Veronica, feeling embarrassment, stretched hand to her hair. She tried to say something, but emotions overwhelmed her, and her voice's treacherous trembled, giving out her internal struggle. Leon gently but confidently attracted her to himself, and them lips touched. There was a moment of absolute intimacy when all around ceased to exist, and only they two remained in the center of this world. Veronica realized that her feeling for Leon is something irrational, contradictory, healthy meaning. Desire being with him eclipsed everything, turns into a painful the languor that I could hardly bear it. Her thoughts were overflowing passion and fear. This is feeling it seemed simultaneously a blessing and a curse. She understood that her attraction so deep that capable destroy her from the inside. When Leon touched her, his power filled Veronica. This one period human was unique, and its ability transmit energy I made it for her almost supernatural creature. She felt like wish tears apart her from the inside. Veronica wanted own them completely, to absorb it all, and in this aspiration she found at the same time pain and delight. The realization that she may be losing him terrified her. If would she couldn't be with him, she preferred would disappear, drowning in his arms and forgetting about to all. Every Leon's touch seemed to her like a step towards fulfillment her desires. She thirsted only a little more to quench this one endless thirst, tearing her into pieces. His warmth and closeness became for her the only one light in the world. Veronica felt that only next to him she will be able to find peace and get rid of the tormenting her hunger. Her feelings for Leon reached their peak. She wanted to be with him forever, without letting go. Not for a moment, and was ready to pay any price for it, even her soul. Veronica, shocked intently Leon's gaze, feels like her face fills with colors. It touches her person's asking question that makes her to be embarrassed. The warmth of his touch, it seems strange to her, familiar and enticing. Leon continues look at her. His eyes sparkle undisguised curiosity. Veronica tries to understand what he is thinking, but it's confusing that he seems to see something in her greater than she realizes it herself. He is careful, closes her eyes with your palm, like as if is trying hide from the world. Veronica feels like her heart starts to fight faster. His actions seem to be mysterious, but you can read it in them care. Leon bends over closer. His voice becomes quiet, almost whispering. He admits that he is simply delighted. Her face. Veronica, stunned by his words, does not know how react to his unexpected recognition. Leon's gaze becomes more seriously, and he admits their feelings. His emotions fill air around them, creating an atmosphere of tension intimacy. Veronica feels like these words touch her soul. They are standing under night sky, surrounded whiteness winter forests. Leon reflects on his feelings that seem to be to him too much strong. He assures yourself that will be able to cope with them if this necessary. The silence of winter landscape violates sudden movement. Horse publishes a sharp sound, interrupting their moment. Her anxiety brings Leon and Veronica back to reality. Veronica, gathering her strength, indignantly asks Leon, is he a representative some strange sects? Her voice is filled suspicion, and the eyes sparkle righteous anger. Leon is in no hurry answer. He calmly takes out a sign that indicates his connection with the holy city of Kart. His gestures hide internal tension. He says that how can faster to go to this city? His words sound determination and some mysterious necessity, leaving Veronica is perplexed. Veronica with anxiety looks at Leon. Her premonition confirmed. Enemies set their sights on the holy city of Kart. Leon, trying save calmness, confirms that this threat extremely serious. They stand against the backdrop of the night view of the holy city. Veronica understands, if Kart will be captured, will protect the continent impossible. The look is full of determination, but fear is growing in the soul. Veronica, feeling danger, doubts the plan to go through the wasteland, considering this madness. She is surprised that Leon, a saint knight, ready go this dangerous way, despite his reputation. Leon calmly explains that the wasteland is sacred land where the great temple is located. He is sure that their mission it justifies the risk, because salvation cities and continents more important total. Veronica warns that if they will simply enter the wasteland, there can comprehend the divine punishment. But Leon cold-bloodedly states that ready accept any punishment for the sake of fulfillment tasks. Leon believes that now is not the time to argue about holiness or desecration lands. He is focused on the future and calls Veronica think about the main thing, goals, their missions. Veronica nervously objects, mentioning wasteland again. She worried about possible consequences, but understands that it is useless to argue. There is a note of despair and mistrust in her words. Leon says tough and confident, she just needs to follow him. His holy knight authority does not tolerate doubts. Veronica feels myself suppressed by his unyielding confidence. Leon makes it clear that her opinion in the situation doesn't matter. He takes full responsibility upon himself. This makes Veronica withdraws, but she can't help but worry about their fate. Alone, Veronica ponders. Leon is going too far, but she finds it hard to argue. She worries that his courage could turn into trouble, her thoughts full doubts and worries about them general future. Leon, with determination expression faces, says that everything is ready and offers set off. His confident tone contrasts with the soft winter landscape, creating an atmosphere of tension and preparation. Veronica, leaning against a tree, assures that maybe rise on her own. There is a note in her voice stubbornness, but weakness in her pose says that it is hard for her. Doing first step, Veronica slips on the icy ground. This moment conveys her vulnerability, and compressed lips they show the desire not to give up. Leon catches Veronica at the last moment. He ironically notices that she could have simply asked for help, holding her close. His tone demonstrates mixture care and teasing goodwill. Veronica moves away, saying that she asked him not to confuse hers. The look is strict, but the roses surrounding the frame indicate hidden feelings. Looking at Leon, she notices that he only, what was cruel in his words, and now again, seems kind. There is a note in her voice, bewilderment, and in the eyes readable confusion. Leon, standing in front of Veronica against the backdrop of winter forests, looks at her straight. He asks what she wants. His voice sounds seriously, causing tension in her. Veronica, confused, lowers eyes. Her dress soft sways in the wind, and the winter cold intensifies her internal struggle. She doesn't know how. Answer. Leon is coming closer, takes her by the hand, saying that he had already voiced it many times their intentions. His gesture conveys strength and tenderness, creating a touching scene. Leon is determined, states that wants just one thing. Veronica did not leave him. His gaze, I'm sure, and hers emotions are torn apart between fear and sympathy. Leon, with tension in his voice, says Veronica, what will never let go her, even if the way forward leads through the wasteland or hell. His view reflects solid determination that strengthens voltage between them. Veronica, with a challenge in her eyes, admits that she will not leave until she destroys something important. In her determination, you can hear fear and anger, but also echoes internal strength and stubbornness. Leon grabs her by the hand, assuring that she needed him to change the course of the game. This gesture symbolizes not only control, but also desperate an attempt to keep her close. He asks Veronica a question, raising her look at himself. His half-smile and firm tone give away confidence but also tease her. She remains silent, as if she is not ready to admit her position. Leon tenderly berates her hand, feeling how her heart beats faster. This moment makes her confusion and light blush, reflecting her struggle with one's own feelings. Having seen this unexpected gesture, Veronica sharp exhales in surprise, her eyes burning red, express mixture fear, surprise and hidden sympathy that she tries to suppress. Her voice trembles when it is admitted that preferred, I wish he would continue be rougher than show their true emotions. This statement reveals her vulnerability and confusion in the face of his unexpected tenderness. Leon looks at Veronica, remaining calm and collected, and says that it's not fair. Their interaction becomes final point emotional confrontation, in which it is clear that none of them are ready retreat. Leon and Veronica are standing among winter forests. You can feel it in her words. Bitterness as it speaks of injustice that gives away everything to God, but in return receives only pain. Leon is silent, not finding words consolation. Veronica, with pain in her eyes, reproaches Leon for not even asking her name. Her red eyes radiate pain and hidden strength, hinting at a deep personal tragedy. Their shadows fall on the snowy ground as a symbol of their internal gravity. Veronica feels myself shackled in visible chains tied to a heavy reality from which impossible run away. Leon suddenly calls Veronica go further, as if is trying to distract her from the burdensome thoughts. He resolutely looks, go ahead, ready protect her any price. She slightly smiles, but her words are about that she necessary sound. How bitter irony. Her hands are shaking as if she realizes that these words lock her in the shackles of fate. Veronica, by the snowy road, urges Leon with desperation in his voice. Sight focused on the horse as the only thing means escape from winter, the emptiness that surrounded there. Veronica reflects on his values, about what she is determined by other people. In her trembling in the hand is a small symbol of what she all more clings to his identity. Some days they continue their journey through the cold, snowy wasteland. The forest becomes all more gloomy as if reflecting their state. Silence intensifies voltage. Veronica and Leon are riding on the same horses. She is silent, and he quietly reports that ahead wasteland. Their faces serious as if they preparing for the inevitable. Night covers the ground, and in front just a mountain against the empty sky. Their figures disappear into the darkness, leaving behind cold footprints in the snow, symbolizing their journey into the unknown. Veronica noticed the camp in the distance, surrounded by a winter forest. She worried, because among night the silence of the fire in the center attracted attention. Her gray eyes restlessly look at the illuminated tents, and thoughts about strangers do not give peace. Veronica turns to Leon, informing him that there is something in the forest, someone else. Her voice is filled with anxiety, and her gaze with determination. She points to the side, hoping for understanding. Leon is focused looks around snow-covered locality. Leon sharply stops horse, defending Veronica. Her trembling hand firmly holds onto his shoulder, while how his confidence and strength give her hope for safety. A group of men with weapons appears from shadows. Threat becomes obvious. Leaders, warriors with terrifying weapons throw call travelers, clearly not intending to miss them further without conflict. One of the men with a grin states that no one will leave this one locality alive. Veronica feels cold fear, but it holds on calmly, despite everything growing voltage. Leon, hiding rage, offers opponents to name himself. His voice sounds firmly. He does not show fear, though the situation is clearly not in his favor. Veronica attentively keeps an eye on everyone's movement. One of strangers explains that he is a fugitive guard from Asseldorf heading to Karta. His story sounds plausible, but Veronica feels catch, not trusting these words. The name Map evokes genuine excitement in men's surprise. They discuss between by themselves, exchanging suspicious views. Veronica notices tension growing between the parties. Leader, the group clearly shows interest in the mentioned map. His view becomes predatory, and the smile is even more ominous. Leon holds back himself, but prepares for the worst development events. Veronica, staying close to Leon, feels like danger is getting stronger. Their difficult position becomes obvious, but cold Leon's confidence helps her maintain calmness. Baluna, with a wide smile, tells joke around the campfire, his laughter contagious, creating a warm atmosphere among travelers. The rest listen, enjoying the moment of comfort in the cold night. Baluna shares with the group their own thoughts about intersection wastelands. Difficulties' paths unite them, and each reflects on his tasks and trials, sitting by the fire. Baluna represents myself, how merchant from Luegi. His confidence and openness cause confidence among those gathered that helps strengthen communication in a group. Leon calls your own name, but it calls Veronica has suspicions. She doubtfully reflects, not invented Liet, and tries to understand its motives. Baluna mentions that the surname Berg in the Empire Kaizenmir belongs to people with unknown origin. His comment calls voltage, and the rest react wary. Baluna, interested in Leon's origins, raises the question of its possible stories. His direct tone is surprising gathered, exposing hidden tension. Leon, with a light smile, confidently responds, avoiding categoricalness. His mystery intrigues Veronica, forcing her think about his true personalities. Veronica, hugging herself, freezes. Group notices her discomfort and the atmosphere becomes more caring. Leon tries raise her spirit. One of Satellites offers Veronica a warming drink. His kindness helps her a little. Relax despite internal doubts and cold. Veronica gratefully accepts help, trying save calm. Group continues discuss plans, their trust gradually strengthens and is preserved by the fire-cozy atmosphere. Veronica, reservedly smiling, he takes a drink but suddenly stops. Her hand trembles and her gaze alert. Leon, sitting next to him, quickly interferes, clearly showing attention to her condition. Leon calmly but confidently explains to those around him that his wife doesn't drink alcohol. His words cause Veronica's confusion, which lowers eyes, feeling his protective sight. Sitting nearby, men start laugh as Leon demonstrates care. One of them praises him, calling him a model husband. Leon on this only smiles slightly, justifying myself to them. The golden-haired man explains traditions, according to which guests oblige drink as a sign of respect. His tone is soft but insistent. Leon, hearing this, is just nods, trying smooth out situation. Leon hugs. He grabs Veronica by the shoulders and offers drink for two, emphasizing that will be able to comply customs without violating her preferences. His voice sounds confidently, and his actions cause smiles on everyone. Gathered around the fire, Leon calmly declares that he will take upon himself the honor of drinking for his wife. Veronica embarrassedly blushes, but his determination makes her slightly smile. Surrounding notice Leon's jealousy, joking about his excessive guardianship. He himself only smiles, trying hide-lung embarrassment, and Veronica, looking at him, seems surprised, but flattered. Leon jokingly explains your own behavior in that they all mourn newlyweds, and therefore their connection requires special understanding. His words evoke approving laughter among gathered. Veronica quietly watches as Leon blends in with the surrounding atmosphere. In her head sound thoughts of jealousy and his care that cause mixed feelings. Later. At night, Leon gets out of bed realizing that there is something in the drink. There was something. His hand touches forehead, and look reflects easy tired, but his thoughts focused only on Veronica. Leon, tired, watches the serene sleeping Veronica. His gaze is full of doubts and worries. He reaches out to her hair as if fighting with the inner decision, but his feelings remain hidden. Leon ponders further actions. Pick up Veronica and leave or use the moment to get information. His concern it's getting stronger, but he's trying save cold reason, weighing options. Veronica, in half-sleep, moves closer to Leon. He watches her with barely noticeable smile, as if for a moment forgetting about his plans and softening before her with a calm look. Leon decides give yourself a little time for reflection. He leaves Veronica to rest, realizing that hasty actions can only make the situation worse. Later, Leon encounters a man who mocks him, amazed at his fortitude. The atmosphere becomes tense and both ready for further development events. The man said sarcastically, notices that even for the banal, Leon needs action approval. This sarcasm hints at a hidden threat and causes response Leon's reaction. Leon coolly parries remark, making it clear that solution always. It depends on the person. There is a sound in his voice, confidence and challenge that intensifies the atmosphere. Leon's interlocutor threateningly hints that if he is confident in his force, then maybe try resist them to everyone. This threat emphasizes danger and tension moment. Leon realizes that he might have to make concessions and ask for permission. His face saves calm, but in the eyes, readable struggle for control of the situation. Appears a group of people led by an aggressive man. He mockingly claims that Leon is wrong, left Veronica alone, showing that the threat is real and the situation maybe go out of control. Leon is determined, holds a sword, and looks into the distance. In his eyes, readable persistence. He wants finish started. His goal was to save Veronica any price. At night in the haze, only cold winds testify to his determination. Veronica is trying to break free, but a rough hand covers her mouth. She's scared but not giving up, her eyes full rage. The man whispers to her to shut up, but her wish resist only is getting stronger. The golden-haired enemy holds Veronica, threatening her with death for any sound. In his gaze, there is something evil, cold. Veronica does not look away. Eyes, anger and fear are mixed in her look. Leon faces an opponent who mocks his concern for Veronica. Tension increases as the blades intersect. Leon gathers all his will, his gaze becomes solid. Gripping his sword tighter, Leon responds to the threat's actions. His fortitude says that he is ready go to the end. The enemy begins understand that Leon is not simple human. Leon with a smile says that Veronica hard falls asleep and better don't disturb her. His self-confidence impressive, he clearly knows that does and is not afraid threats. In the silence, Leon notices shadow beyond their shelters. He prepares for the next step. His mind works clearly, analyzing threat. His look remains focused. The enemy, holding on to Veronica, recalls famous hero, the red-haired Leon with a scar. He dismissively calls him a supposed savior, but his words are filled with fear. He thinks Leon is crazy, remembering their origin. Veronica catches every word, trying to understand the hidden meanings, motives. In her head rush by plans escape. Words about destruction, her native cities. They hit Veronica. Her eyes, they widen in horror. She realizes the scale of the tragedy. Tear rolls down her cheek, but in the heart lights up determination fight. Against the backdrop of a gloomy red sky, Veronica reflects on the injustice that the government hides the truth about a certain threat, Bahamuta. She realizes that civilians are being manipulated into doing something, believe in an illusion security. Veronica faces danger. She is captured. Tension, it is growing. It understands that there are two choices left: to die in ignorance or seek the truth despite the dangers. She fights despair. Dangerous stranger admires his luck, considering Veronica as prey that he can take advantage of. Situation, the threat is getting worse, becomes real, and Veronica finds himself on the edge. Leon, the man with the cold, with a glance, appears in thoughts, Veronica, how the only one hope. I am convinced that he will not leave her, after all. They connected something strong that exceeds fear and doubt. Each 1 minute dangers it is felt. How eternity. Veronica realizes that expectation salvation becomes too much risky. Determination replaces fear, and she preparing for decisive actions. In Veronica's hands appears the knife as a symbol of her will to fight for her freedom. She decides no longer to be victim, realizing that salvation may be only through your own struggle. She realizes that those around knew how much unusual these merchants. Their presence is shrouded in mystery, which only enhances feeling anxiety and mistrust. Leon explains that merchants always use mercenaries, but those with whom they collided break all the rules. They armed and ready act that only emphasizes seriousness situations. Leon's hugs are given Veronica a brief moment of consolation. She reflects on how much spoiled this world, if it is capable to create such people who are ready for any atrocities. Leon is tough, notes that people do not change so easily. He looks at what is happening with bitterness, but is determined to continue to fight, together with Veronica, for their general future. In a room immersed in shadow, Veronica and Leon discuss situation. He instructs her be extremely careful. The girl, feeling tension, carefully listens to his words, realizing that danger is hovering around. Near the camp in the sunset, Leon, leaning against a tree, ponders. He is convinced that evil exists at all times, and his face reflects a mixture of sadness and bitterness awareness. Veronica notices Leon's lack of a helmet. Her sight penetrates deep into his thoughts. She asks a question that reveals her concern, as if wanting to understand why he doesn't protect myself. Leon, with ease smile, responds to her alarm. His words penetrate her soul. He explains that the helmet is not his choice, pointing to the target, enemy that always directed towards the head. Veronica doesn't give in and insists. She is at a loss, trying to understand why he, knowing the risks, is setting her up. Myself under attack. Her question sounds, how attempt to save him. Leon, with a slight irony, talks about 3 reasons why he acts. That's exactly it. This is explanation surprises girl. She feels that each from its causes is filled deep meaning. Veronica is confused. Leon's words are frightening her, but at the same time they force her think about it. He makes it clear that his choice is not accidental, and this makes her feel internal storm. Leon calmly smiles, realizing the risk of his actions. He knows that his actions can be perceived, how suicidal, but in his eyes is on fire confidence in the correctness paths. Veronica, full doubts, asks one more question. Her voice trembles when she asks why he gave her the sword. She wants to understand what role she is assigned in this dangerous world. Leon, tense and thoughtful, asks Veronica about her decision. She in turn assures that even child capable defend yourself if there is threat. But Leon understands that speech, it's about more serious question. Veronica expresses his concern, wondering if does she have a chance of success? Her red eyes are burning determination, but in them one can read doubt. She wants to know enough she is strong for her goals. Leon understands her intentions and answers. Veronica realizes that her task is to kill Bahamuda. Her sight becomes more hard, but on the face breaks through despair in the face of complexity upcoming tests. She remembers past moment when had to kill another person. Her hands were shaking, but she understood that sometimes there is simply no choice. Her eyes are filling up memories of this, the first step. At that moment when air around her changed, Veronica felt a surge of the unknown powers. Her fight with Bahamut gave her something more, understanding that she maybe be stronger than I previously thought. She tells herself that if she was given this power, then she is intended to perform great tasks. She is not going to stop there because ahead her waiting long haul. Veronica firmly decides to study for real. She wants to become stronger, not only so that protect yourself, but also to conquer enemy who represents threat everything that is dear to her. Her look is full of determination. She understands that he can't stay former. Veronica strives overcome yourself as if bird-breaking egg to find new life. Image of a bird becomes a symbol of it transformations. She doesn't want to be weak as a dodo that has given up its wings. She wants to become a petrel, capable endure any tests. Leon looks at her and realizes that she is not iron and not fearless, but in this her power. She reminds him about that even fragility maybe hide an indomitable will to win. Veronica, with a wound on her head, bent over the body, realizing that inside there is emptiness in her. This moment makes her think about fragility life. Leon, with distrust, watches her, assessing her emotional state. Leon notes Veronica's inner emptiness, but sees in it a reflection of himself in the past. Determination fills this internal loneliness, causing in him wish help despite doubts. He decides that costs try change her fate. Veronica reminds him about those days when he himself was looking for meaning life. Leon decides support her, understanding how it's hard to deal with emotional wounds. Leon warns Veronica so that she didn't give up halfway. Weakness irritates him, but at the same time awakens the desire to guide her, to give her the opportunity to understand her own strength. Leon asks Veronica a provocative question, deducing her from state's confusion. Her answer becomes a symbol of the inner awakening, and she states that stronger than it seems at first sight. Veronica takes the weapon in his hands, surprised by its weight. The first steps with a sword are forced her doubt your own possibilities, but this only pushes her try again. Leon watches her attempts, but notices her weak grip. He understands that there is a long way to go to become stronger and confident in holding a weapon. Veronica with pleasure realizes that the weapon is not like that already heavy as she thought. This becomes for her small victory, adding confidence. Leon decides use her optimism, saying that now the sword will become her companion. His joking tone only enhances her determination, prove that she will cope. Snow, glitter weapons, and Leon's words about she did not let go of the sword become a symbol of the beginning of her paths. Now Veronica is ready to accept this challenge and fight for yourself. Veronica, resolutely excited, receives strict orders from Leon to wear the sword without interruption, even during food or bathing. She is amazed by his persistence, but tries contain indignation. Young woman is trying explain that it is more important to learn how to wield a sword, stance, strikes, and defense. However, Leon, mockingly indifferent, doubts her abilities to handle weapons. Veronica proves that the sword is not heavy, but Leon sarcastically advises her to just wear it. Her disturbance grows into determination prove the opposite, though she boils with indignation. Veronica clutched her sword convinced, tells himself that she will be able to them use it. Her emotions reach their peak until she with force holds the handle, testing the first surge of confidence. Leon, surprised her determination, watches as Veronica is trying demonstrate their skills. However, his gaze remains calm and slightly interested. Suddenly, Veronica does a swing that seems to cut through air. She is full delight, convinced of her capabilities handle weapons with feeling yourself at your best. With feeling shocks, she understands that not right away felt the power of the sword. However, her confidence grows and she starts believe that will be able to master even complex techniques. Gathering her strength, she decides try once again. With a new determination, she swings his sword, putting all his energy into the movement. However, attempt turns out more successful than she expected. Embarrassed, Veronica is being asked the question of why he can't repeat his success, but he doesn't give up. Leon is unperturbed, replies that he cannot understand the reason for its failures. His words seem indifferent, but his observation clearly shows hidden interest in her progress. Veronica approaches Leon and reproaches him, reminds her of his promise to teach her wield a sword. His silence causes her bewilderment and slight irritation. After all, she expected serious response to your request. Leon, looking at her, finally says that there is the only one advice for her. His voice is calm, but there is a sense of hidden subtext, like as if he was cooking her to something important. Leon advises her to start with strengthening physical forms. His look becomes serious, and the intonation hints that without this, it is forbidden take possession the art of fighting. Veronica feels a pang of disappointment. She remembers his promise to teach her, but Leon's words they give up on her. Veronica feels like herself. Confidence begins fade away despite its sincere desire to learn. Leon unexpectedly picks up her when she loses equilibrium. Their views meet, and Veronica freezes from proximity, and around it seems as if time stops, emphasizing importance moment. Leon says that swordsmanship requires good physical preparations. His words sound as a lesson-reinforced experience. Veronica starts to understand what is behind the dream is hidden, persistent Job. She confidently answers that earlier was engaged dancing, therefore confident in her physical fortresses. Her voice sounds firm, and her gaze transmits pursuit, prove your readiness. Leon, having heard this, just smiles as if foresaw her answer. Veronica notices in his smile something warm but can't figure out that's exactly what he means. She was surprised, asks, thinks does he know that she's not strong enough because of its fragility? Her voice betrays hidden resentment, but in the eyes is on fire determination. Leon briefly replies that this not at all, and then adds quietly that his words were caused something else. In his gaze flickers something mysterious, leaving Veronica to think about. Veronica remembers childhood, when, performing on stage, catches delighted views spectators. Among them is young Leon, who looks on with surprise and awe, looks at her, calling her mother, discouraged similarity with the beloved woman. As an adult, Leon meets Veronica again. He asks question, hiding mine interest. Their communication reminds a game in which hidden emotions strive, go out, but remain under the cover of external restraint. On horses, Leon and Veronica continue conversation. He notices her fragility that does not correspond her strength and admires her endurance. She, embarrassed, but with a smile accepts his kind words, trying hide easy awkwardness. Through jokes, Veronica shows self-confidence. Leon laughs, finding her reaction charming. Their mutual sympathy becomes all more obvious, but they continue hide their feelings behind the good-natured chatter. Veronica apologizes for his shortcomings, and Leon notes that her coordination surprisingly good for a dancer. She looked slightly embarrassed, answers that her skills far from perfect, but Leon sticks to his gun's opinion. Talk acquires intimate shade. Leon notices her short hair, reminds that long curls look like defiantly. Veronica suddenly reveals that her choice is the result of internal protest. Her hair is a symbol of freedom. She does not obey pressure past, explaining that father did not approve her style. Leon supports her, seeing in her words the power that he admires everything more. Veronica laughs, claiming that she cut her own hair. She asks how this looks, and despite the imperfection of the haircut, Leon admits her courage, admired her openness and ease. They continue on their way, jokingly throwing each other comments. Leon notes minor details, teasing Veronica, but she, despite the slight embarrassment, answers to him with warmth, showing her growing sympathy. The landscape around calms them down, jokes develop into a friendly one, a conversation filled with trust. Between them is established special a bond in which friendship and romance intertwine, promising something more. Veronica, standing in the hall, hears rumors about a night deprived of heads. She's surprised and trying comprehend scene, looking at the formidable figure statues. The atmosphere is permeated with mystery and anxiety. Leon remembers past, speaking about events 20 years old prescription. Veronica reacts with bewilderment, trying to understand his age. Between them arises lung voltage amplifying mystery. Veronica amazed Leon's age. That makes her feel a little irritation. Leon calmly notes that at that time he could not to be in the wastelands, hinting at some important detail of his past. Veronica doesn't understand why Leon, despite his words, continues treat her with restraint. She feels myself a child in his eyes and wants more confessions. Leon leans towards Veronica, trying to understand her feelings. He asks, "Her, it's not offensive, does she like that?" Attitude, emphasizing there the difference in age and experience, but at the same time remains soft. Veronica reaches out to Leon, showing sincerity their own feelings. He answers, reservedly, but emotion is visible in his eyes. This instant brings together them, although it preserves distance. She wants to find out why Leon is so reserved in his actions. Her eyes fill determination, and the voice trembles with desire to hear the truth. Leon finally opens up. He admits that his attitude is dictated by deep feelings. Veronica starts to see hidden meaning in his words' tenderness. The majestic statue behind them creates an atmosphere of fatefulness. Leon admits that wants to be beloved Veronica, and at that moment their connection becomes obvious. Veronica asks why exactly she should become the object of his love. There is a note in her voice simultaneously, doubt and hope. Leon answers seriously, adding meaning and depth their interaction. Veronica, immersed in her thoughts, admits that he does not know when exactly all changed. Her sight expresses easy sadness, like she ponders something important and personal. She remembers how at some point she began to thirst love surrounding her. A look into the past fills the stage with softness, melancholy, showing children's memories. Veronica notices that favorites' children always look like happy. These thoughts, they force her think about your own aspirations and desires be accepted. She studies dance to attract attention and become an object admiration. Dancing become a way for her to express yourself and earn love. Her movements on stage are fascinating the public. In her dance merge grace and sincerity, forcing all look only on her. Leon, reserved and mysterious, says that is experiencing similar feelings. His words caught Veronica by surprise, arousing curiosity and confusion. He admits that wants to. She fell in love with him. His serious sight causes Veronica strong emotions, mixing surprise and anxiety. Leon says that wishes that her love was so strong that she lost Wood himself. His confession sounds how revelation, complete passion and vulnerability. Veronica ponders Leon's words, seeing in his desperate attempt attract her attention, reflection own emotions and aspirations. However, she notices that Leon seems not lonely at all. Its contradiction makes her look at the situation differently, feeling confusion feelings. Leon remembers accusations that hurt about myself, cowardice and betrayal comrades. His cold sight shows that he doesn't care what thinks surrounding. He is filled with internal confidence. Veronica playfully implies Leon, hinting that his life full scandals. Her sharp replica surprises Leon, but he hides it embarrassment for the indifferent mask. Leon frankly speaks Veronica that he doesn't plan to be with a woman, no now, nor in the future. His tone is calm but categorical that amazes Veronica. Despite his words, Veronica is trying to find out what he will do if he does fall in love. Her decisive sight faces his cold, confident smile. Leon states that considers love weakness which will never allow. His determination inspires feeling unshakable faith in one's own beliefs. He emphasizes that his life fully dedicated to service to the highest debt, and nothing can distract him from this goals. Veronica realizes his determination. Veronica, hiding internal pain, says that understands him. Her sight becomes thoughtful as if she is trying to come to terms with what you heard. However, inside no, there is growing protest against his words. Her eyes start burn, demonstrating determination and inner combating his claims. She throws to him challenge, asking question, how can he be so confident in your future? Her words reflect doubt in his absolute confidence. Veronica reminds Leon that love may be flare up suddenly and change everything. The decisive words make him think, but he still saves composure. Veronica, meeting close Leon's gaze, feels like their souls seem to collide. She understands that sometimes for love, one look is enough awakens in the heart irresistible force. In her eyes is reflected mixture, determination, and confusion when she realizes depth of this moment. Leon, standing next to Veronica, feels his inner world begin to change. Her sincerity and willpower captivate him. She speaks of love that is able to make people give up everything, even if this requires huge victims. Her words find response in his heart. He sees in her in the eyes of an abyss of despair from which she reaches out for salvation. Leon understands that his presence at this moment has special meaning, as if he becomes the one beam light that breaks through the darkness of its inner world. Veronica takes away look. Her voice becomes softer. She reflects on the importance of not doing hasty conclusions, and in her words, one can hear hope. She, as if, is trying to convince myself and Leon that all more can change if you don't give up. They stand in silence among gray stone slabs. The atmosphere is filled tension and light feeling losses, but at the same time, there is spark hopes. Leon and Veronica, as if would they are trying to understand, they will be able to Lee. They trust each other in this difficult moment. With unexpected smile, Veronica says that lifelong. Her laughter sounds suddenly sincerely and pleasantly, and Leon sees how her face illuminated this moment. Her cheerfulness starts affect even the most cold corners of his heart. But her joy is changing anxiety. She realizes that strong emotions like fire can fade away as quickly as flared up. In her eyes appears a concern that doesn't escape Leon's gaze. He watches her, thinking. Her words. In his heart arises doubt. Maybe can he afford to ignore what feels for her? He understands that this moment could be decisive for both of them, but the fear of losing what it paralyzes. He takes a step back, his voice sounding firmly, but in it there is a note of regret. He knows that sometimes it's easier to just walk past and pretend that I didn't notice anything than face the real feelings that can all change. Finally, he steps away, declaring that will take care of routine things to do. Give yourself time. I'll think about it. Veronica remains alone in her thinking, feeling like between them grows invisible a chasm that may never be overcome. Leon, it's hard. Leaning on a column, he looks into the distance. His gaze is full of pain, and his body trembles. His thoughts weigh heavily the burden of losses, like as if he understands that end close. He translates with difficulty breathing, feeling like forces leave him, leaving only bitter aftertaste loneliness. His voice sounds hoarsely when he recalls the words about the divine gift. God has gathered the life force of the desert, passing it on to people, but this gift became test. Leon realizes that this power is not just a blessing, but something more scary and burdensome. Among the people who received power, only selected acquired sacred power. Leon remembers Veronica, who was by his side in this paths. She not only supported him, but also embodied him hope that this power can be used for good. However, the price turned out to be too much. High. Leon reflects on the fact that, remaining in the desert too much long, the sacred power begins fade away. His hand, surrounded with luminous streams of energy, gradually loses your own shine. He understands that this is his limit, and the powers he once considered a gift are now become his curse. Weak light in his hand almost disappears, leaving only feeling emptiness. Leon tells himself that maybe this is it, back to what predestined fate. He realizes that can't anymore fight the inevitable, and is accepted come to terms with the fact that ahead. He lifts, looking up, realizing that he had achieved his goal limit. Internal struggle fades away, giving way place understanding that his path is complete. Leon thinks about what is important to leave behind, not the strength of himself, but the memory of his actions and the people he loved. Suddenly, before his eyes pop up memories of the past. He sees red eyes Veronica-filled anger and pain. These memories awaken in him regret, forcing realize how much losses they endured together for the sake of common goals. Images past become brighter. Before him appears figure-tortured deputy captain, his armor covered with blood and the face distorted pain. This human fought to the end to protect his team, and his sacrifice will forever remain etched in Leon's memory. Leon remembers events' annual statute of limitations. The Tirana front is engulfed by fire sunset. The gloomy sky and the castle walls plunge him into a nightmare. Memory. This front was the beginning of the end, and the memories of the battles evoke a deep feeling in his soul sorrow. Among ruins, screams are heard. Veronica, wounded and tired, screams that necessary retreat. Her voice is full of despair, and around lie down bodies fallen. Leon realizes that this was their fatal mistake, moment when all changed and hope finally collapsed. Young knight in armor runs towards Leon, urging him to return to the fortress. Leon, standing in the shadows with a bloody clothes, turns around. His appearance radiates fatigue and internal struggle, but in the eyes is saved concentration, causing respect and fear from others. Leon, in graceful armor, filled blood, looks at the knight. His face expresses pain, rather spiritual than physical. Against the backdrop of the sunset sky, his figure looks dramatic, adding depth to the moment. Its tense sight speaks of heaviness solutions that to him to come accept. In the center of the city, Leon is surrounded knights. On their faces, readable anxiety and indecision, awareness, seriousness happening. Leon is standing firmly. His figure stands out from the rest, like embodiment readiness meet inevitable. Leon takes out a sword, which suddenly starts shine dazzling light. Crowd freezes in amazement and fear, watching the manifestation unbridled forces. At this moment it seems that time stopped, emphasizing greatness and danger what is happening. The power of the sword comes out of control, creating powerful wave energy that destroys all around. People are in a panic fall, trying to take cover. Impact weapons becomes destructive, emphasizing its unpredictability and danger to everyone. Leon, from trying with all his might maintain control of the sword while fighting its power. His movements become all more heavy, face distorted despair and determination. In chaos, he remains the only one figure that is trying to prevent a disaster. Crowd starts run away, leaving Leon alone. He barely holds the sword, heavily breathes, his strength almost dried up. In his eyes is reflected deep feeling guilt and internal conflict, as if he were fighting not only with weapons, but also with himself. In the dark appear ominous eyes discussing what even Leon couldn't stop destruction. They put under doubt his obedience to orders and call him a madman. The words of these votes reinforce the atmosphere of hopelessness and impending doom threats. Leon, covered in wounds, slowly raises look. In his expression appears hardness, as if he were taking final decision. His determination through the challenge to chaos becomes visible, despite his exhaustion and pain. Veronica hurries to Leon, supporting him as he barely stands on her feet. Her care and concern for him emphasize their connection. She trying to figure out if it's okay whether he is, and Leon, exhausted, seems to be on the edge. At this moment, his human nature is revealed. Vulnerability. Leon, sitting against the wall with a wounded look, assures Veronica that he is fine, despite the obvious weakness. His eyes are lowered, and he tries to hide tiredness. Veronica worriedly looks at him, her voice trembling with anxiety. But Leon remains cold-blooded, trying not to show it their feelings. Veronica concerns Leon's forehead, feeling his heat. She persistently states that he has high fever. Leon looks embarrassed and a little irritated but not resisting. His condition is clearly worsening, and he realizes that Veronica is right, even though she doesn't want to of this admit. Veronica asks the question of how Leon feels for a long time myself bad. She notices that he looked exhausted still on the way here. Leon silently listens without wanting to give a direct answer, but its expression faces gives out confusion. Veronica does not hide his worries. Leon, smiling weakly, asserts that to him will become better, as only he is a little will rest. Veronica, despite the visible anger, embraces him, not giving to him turn away. Her eyes express mixture pain and determination, and Leon at this moment relaxes, allowing her to show concern. Leon leans his head against Veronica's shoulder, feeling her warmth and support. His thoughts, they get confused, and he quietly notices that it's impossible not to make fun of me when someone so caring reacts. Veronica blushes but continues support him, making it clear that you will not leave him alone. Memories transport Leon into the past, where he imagines how would meet Veronica if they both were night students. He sees her next to him when he was younger and more confident. The image evokes in him easy smile and feeling regrets about the impossible. Leon imagines himself teasing young Veronica to tears. He sees her embarrassed face and cheerful anger mixed with a slight smile. This image warms his heart, and for a moment makes forget about pain and fatigue, returning joyful memories. In his imagination, Leon sees how Veronica really starts cry. This moment touches him deeply, and he understands how important it is for him not to hurt her. Her tears make him think about his own actions and words that he would say. Leon imagines how Awkward apologizes to Veronica and extends his hand to console her. Her kindness and tenderness turn out to be stronger than he expected. He feels that exactly such moments they do their connection special, despite all the difficulties. At the end, his own Leon gives imagination Veronica flowers just to see her smile. Her surprise and joy fill it with warmth, returning strength. This image remains in his memory, making him realize how important it is for him, her sincerity and care. Veronica, blinded by the bright light, smiles as if remembering something warm from past. Her thoughts full light, and dreams of how beautiful can be simple moments. She finds joy in little things, filling your own heart with warmth. In the dark, Leon's room was exhausted, puts his head on his knees, Veronica, and she is worried, hugs him. Her red eyes filled sympathy and pain for him. In her thoughts sounds regret. Perhaps he better would never find out truth. Leon lies, tired, on Veronica's shoulder, and she, despite her fatigue, remains close to her. Her gaze is full of alertness, and she checks, sleeps whether he, softly trying to look into his face. There is a feeling between them. Tender connection growing in moments' silence. Leon looks into space, telling that for a long time thought about his feelings and experiences. Veronica silently listens to him. Her sight remains soft but deep eye-readable concern. They together, sitting among columns, find comfort in each other's presence. Talk becomes suddenly funny when Veronica compares Leon to a cat. Her eyes light up, and Leon is surprised and a little irritated reacts. This instant removes tension and brings easy smile at them faces. Veronica, with a smile, explains that Leon, despite his complex character, reminds her of one cat from her past. He becomes more puzzled, but no longer showing signs irritation, and in his gaze appears easy shadow interest. Leon, with a share bewilderment and light indignation, notes that in his entire life he has never been compared to a cat. However, in this strange, he doesn't see the analogy threats, only sincere surprise and light a hint of embarrassment. Veronica explains that considers such comparison compliment, adding a note of sincerity to his words' tenderness. Her sight becomes thoughtful but remains warm. Leon begins perceive her words with a share understanding. Veronica remembers your own childhood, telling about a homeless cat who daily came to their house. She couldn't take it upon herself responsibility for him, but fed him, finding in this small joy and comfort in childhood days. Memories Veronica is shown about the cat, her tenderness, and the ability to compassion. She pets a furry guest who purrs in response. These thoughts emphasize how are important to her simple moments concerns, that I have transferred it to my own relationship with Leon. Veronica notices how Ginger Cat sneaks into her house like feeling that he belongs here. She understands that she would stop so persistent friend. In her heart, warmth awakens, and it seems to her that she made an important decision without realizing its essence. Leon asks Veronica if she gave it name of the cat. She enthusiastically confirms. His face darkens as if he understands something more than it seems. Veronica, on the contrary, looks joyful and full, sincere interest in his new friend. Sight Veronica becomes serious. She notices that the actions led to important consequences. Leon looks at her like as if waiting explanations, but instead reproaches Veronica, claims that guilty it was him. Leon thinks about it. He says that from the moment Cat was named, he probably decided to become a real member of the family. Veronica is surprised the depth of his words, but notices hidden there is tension in his voice, as if he is talking about something much more important. Veronica pronounces the word names as if thinking out loud. She understands that names have a power that connects essence. Her voice trembles, hinting at the anxiety that she feels. Leon tenses, realizing where may lead to this reflection. Alone, Leon reflects on his in the past. He remembers that never called by names those who could die. His thoughts seem to be bitter, as if he were again worries losses that accompanied him in life. His look becomes more gloomy when he remembers consequences their own words. Veronica, standing next to the black horse, looks at Leon with a slight smile, not understanding his anxiety. She has no idea how much pain hidden behind his silence. Leon replies that understands her, however, in his eyes readable regret. He knows that the consequences are already irreversible. The silence between them seems filled hidden meaning that fails express in words. In the cold night, they sitting next to each other. Leon hugs Veronica, so that warm up her. His gesture looks caring, but his thoughts busy something else. Veronica feels his warmth but doesn't notice hidden a shadow darkening his face. Quietly watching Veronica, Leon realizes that she will never know all truth. She perceives kindness and care without suspecting the price that is paid for this will have to pay. Their connections depend on decisions that are no longer possible change. Branch camellias, illuminated dim light, slowly loses their flowers, each petal falling like as if reminds of transient's life. Veronica, immersed in the painful thoughts, feels approximation something inevitable, as if nature itself was warning her about the coming tragedies. A flower plucked from a branch lies on the ground. Its beauty is now useless, and life is over. This picture makes Veronica feeling that her fate is like a camellia. Bright bloom, sudden fall, doom. She feels fear of what it is forbidden change. Serene white light floods cold floor when Veronica notices how her step hits the fallen one flower. Petals crushed. And this picture seemed wood, insignificant, suddenly fills her soul with feeling fragility life that can destroy with one move. The darkness of the night and the cold surround two people sheltered on the hard floor. Veronica hugs Leon, trying warm up but icy breath nights gets under my skin her to the very bones. Her thoughts are carried away into the depths anxiety that only intensifies with proximity stranger dangers. It's getting cold, unbearable. Veronica turns out among snowy forests. Lunar light illuminates her white dress, and snow lies down at her place legs. She understands that she ended up here against her will. The feeling loneliness and the inexplicable fear permeates her soul. Against the backdrop of snow-white landscape, her sight falls on something strange. From under snow is visible a bizarre mushroom, red and menacing attractive. Veronica, struck by his appearance, feels that this find carries a secret within itself that it is forbidden ignore, though that's what's scary her eyes. Veronica light up strange shine. She, trying to understand that happens. Incomprehensible fear and anxiety turn into awareness, something important that was hidden from her. She feels that is approaching the border between life and death, but does not know how her cross. Forest illuminated, the moon becomes all more ominous. Veronica is coming forward, feeling like snow crunches under her legs. She understands that got lost. Question is, why? She here, it becomes obsessive. Her thoughts confused, and the heart is torn apart between fear and hope. Her sight falls to the ground, where a scarlet sea of torn-apart flowers. Horror fills her. She understands that something dark and inexplicable beckons her deep into this scenes. Sadness and fear intensify when it seems to her that she sees his destiny. In an instant, Veronica understands that hide useless. Darkness in her consciousness takes shape. She realizes that she is being watched. Her hands are shaking, her eyes are filling up with tears, but she stands before that, scares her more all, the truth, which will change her forever. Veronica is horrified as watching vision, a huge monster with a bright red shining in the chest. From horror, she screams like darkness around strives absorb her. Heart shrinks in panic, and this moment reflects her defenselessness against your nightmare. Veronica wakes up in a cold sweat, her body trembling. She clutches her chest convulsively, trying to calm down madly pounding heart. Her room. It seems like a quiet refuge, but the anxiety from what you saw does not let go, forcing nervously listen to the sounds. Her sight falls on Leon lying next to him. His face calmly, but Veronica notices details, paleness skin, and tension in sleep. In her eyes appears red radiance, reflection her own experiences, and something inside her awakens. She leans over Leon, her breath becomes quickened. His face seems calm, but in her head sounds a strange voice that attracts attention to his smell. She feels internal struggle, trying to suppress this impulse. Veronica embraces myself with my hands, thinking about how these visions destroy hers. Shoulders lowered, and for a moment she seems broken. She's in pain, realize how much it depends on Leon, even if this humiliates her pride. Sitting down next to Leon, she reluctantly looking for him protection. Her pride and fear merge into one ball of emotions, but she still finds a faint hope in his presence. She leans towards him as if drawing strength from his silent peace of mind. Her hand is shaking, but it still concerns him. It's the only thing that capable get rid of her from the painful visions. Veronica internally contradictory, but understands that there is no choice. She gives in to his own impulse to find at least a drop of peace. Touching his lips with her lips, she feels a surge of the strange reassurance. This closeness fills her warmth, despite the torment inside. This moment becomes her refuge, let even temporary, from the chaos that her surrounds. Leon wakes up and notices her state. His gaze is full of understanding, and he says that she was having nightmares again. Veronica feels relief from his words, but in her eyes remains weak, flickering pain. He takes her into his arms, trying console. His voice sounds soothing, like a quiet whisper, reminding that all will well. Veronica, trusting in his warmth, finds temporary peace of mind knowing that she is next to him. Maybe be weak. Veronica, with red with his eyes, he watches what is happening, realizing heaviness sin to which her pushed approaching the shrine. Her tense sight expresses internal struggle between debt and overwhelming feeling forbidden proximity. Leon hugs Veronica, feeling her trembling. At this moment, the electric pulse runs through her veins, making to understand her to what extent strong the influence he has on her. Her heart beats in unison with his touch, creating strange mixture fear and attraction. Confused, Veronica appears above Leon, wondering question, gave in Lee she fully demonic influence. The scene is heating up, emotions are growing, and the question of its spiritual integrity comes to the fore. Against the backdrop of the terrible landscape appears strange a creature resembling a mushroom, with arms that grows in places where lies sacred artifact. This symbol of threat causes anxiety in Veronica and Leon, and the realization that not everything is so simple. Veronica shares his with Leon fears, suggesting that the monster had dug in the artifact. But it's puzzling why he hasn't attacked yet. This question makes their search the answers are in the secrets hidden in this place. Reflections lead Veronica to the new question. What stopped the monster from attacking earlier? The mind does not leave this question. That's all more delving into attempts to solve connection between happening and their own role. Suddenly is revealed truth. The map that they found protected ancient forces accumulated saints for thousands of years. These forces protect the city from threats, promising peace and stability. Legends claim that peace of the holy city indestructible. Prophecies of eternal peace and protection, they force Veronica think about the significance their missions and the role that they play in this predestination. On this earth, the city should not be spilled drops innocent blood. Leon, bowing before the sacred by writing, confirms ancient covenant that protects this place from destruction. Veronica, hiding next to Leon, listens to his words about the fact that even if the world falls, the holy city will remain. This moment gives her a sense of peace and confidence in them further actions. Leon, tense looking away, one wonders deep question of the existence of God. His gaze is full of doubts and hidden pain, but thoughts as if overflowing mind, reflecting interior a conflict he can't handle. In front of the statue that embodies divine, Leon continues their reflections. He understands that answer to his questions may be unattainable, and doubts will probably remain with him forever. Veronica silently watches as if expecting him to find it himself truth. Hearing Leon's short answer, Veronica excitedly leans towards him. Her eyes shine with hope and delight, as if she sees in it not only answer to your own questions, but also something more, confirmation their own beliefs. Veronica laughs with warmth and relief, noting how weird would doubt the words of Leon, who possesses such divine by force. Her laughter sounds sincerely, how as if all suddenly becomes clear and obvious. Looking into the light, Veronica raises his hand as if trying to touch the rays. She talks about his fate destined for salvation, as if her faith always was with her. Her words sound not only confidence, but also inner peace. Leon, remembering your own childhood, talks about how attention and love always surrounded Veronica. His tone remains calm, but in it can be heard hidden sadness. Perhaps he sees it as a contrast to his own fate. Astonishment, Veronica becomes obvious when Leon admits that his eyes fully healed. Seems to her an incredible miracle that changed his whole life. The look is full of bewilderment and awe before such an event. Leon tells that once he was completely blind, but one night vision unexpectedly returned. His voice sounds calmly, but in it can feel echoes of the pain he had experienced over the years' blindness. Leon remembers a terrible moment from childhood when the woman he thought mother stabbed injuries to his eyes. This memory fills him with pain and bitterness, revealing his tragic self to Veronica past. He says that the woman wanted his face to become closer to the face of God. This idea, it sounds crazy, but the wounds on his face remain dumb evidence cruelty. Leon's eyes glow pain, but along with it, the desire to understand why this was need to. Veronica, full indignation, points to injustice of what was happening, amazed at how you can act so cruelly even with his own child. Her rage exacerbates tragic situations, and the emotions on her face emphasize heaviness said. Leon coldly and sarcastically ponders what if someone is thirsty a face similar to the face of God he would to donate own eyes. His gaze, devoid of emotions, shows that he is far from sympathetic, giving scene sharp drama. When he is next to Veronica, Leon avoids giving a direct answer. His posture and calm behavior contrast with hers with anger, as if he deliberately avoids active participation in this conversation, enhancing voltage between them. Leon mockingly states that to blind her love was unnecessary. After all, the passion for what was desired was already blinding. These words sound bitterness, creating a dark emphasis on human weaknesses. Veronica listens to his indifferent remark in which he points to her mother, allegedly ready to do anything for the attention of his father. Her stunned sight indicates a struggle with internal doubts and fear. Leon mentions that her mother may have been counting on the holy knight who would not refuse a divine child. His mocking tone makes Veronica deep confusion and undermining her confidence in the past. Veronica finds out the terrible truth. Many illegitimate children in this holy city are children priests. Awareness of this fact adds oppressive atmosphere, like as if her world is falling apart. Leon, with disgust, pronounces that those who considers themselves as servants of God, in fact business disgusting. His condemning sight expresses contempt, revealing his inner hatred for them, hypocrisy. Slightly, Leon smiled cynically, agrees that hypocrisy these people are disgusted. His grin adds an ominous note in his statements, enhancing the drama of the situation. Leon asks Veronica a provocative question. Did it work her mother's achieve what she wanted? Her uncertainty reflected in the short, I don't know. Veronica and Leon are talking against the backdrop of stone slabs and a column. She, covered cloak, carefully listens to his story. Leon reflects on fate and asks rhetorical question concerning outcome events that asks their tense tone dialogue. Leon shares memories of his father who, because of my mother's insistence, still turned his attention to him, attention. They stand before the majestic statue in the temple. Light breaks through the stained glass windows, emphasizing his emotions. Veronica listens with interest and ease anxiety. Leon remembers your own childhood. He, being a child, feels myself an object not of love, but of lust. Anxious, the expression on his face transmits feeling pain and resentment that remained in him from those days' times. Veronica, with confusion, checks with Leon. Really, does he talk about his biological mothers? Her trying to understand the situation adds dialogue dramatic, and Leon is reserved, confirms that his words have attitude not towards the mother, but towards herself, to Veronica. Leon replies that speech, it's not about the mother, but about herself, Veronica. His words sound almost detachedly, that makes her feel confusion. Her sight eloquently expresses doubts and pain. She tries to understand why Leon says this so easily. Veronica accuses Leon of his family's treatment of her and asks why he speaks so indifferently about such things. Eyes filled anger and pain, and the flowers in the foreground symbolize fragility, her emotions. Young woman tries to control himself, but encourages Leon not to hide it, their own emotions, even if this is not sadness. It is emphasizes that if he suppresses his feelings, he will eventually lose herself. Her words sound how warning and attempt reach his heart. Illustration shows how emotions can overwhelm or absorb man. Leon is depicted against the backdrop of the scene, immersed in loneliness, and Veronica, being nearby, seems small and vulnerable. This scene conveys conflict, the inner world of the characters. Veronica says that all loses, what's the point if ignore own feelings? She understands that for Leon this is struggle with herself, and her words become attempt to bring him back to life. Her face expresses sincerity and determination help. Leon, leaning against the wall, admits that over time all becomes senseless. His pose conveys tired, and looking away as if symbolizes wish to escape from the present. He is in a struggle with the emptiness that absorbs it from the inside. Leon stands next to the bed on which his mother is sleeping. He is silent, looks at her, lost in thought. It's funny to him how difficult everything turned out, but love for his mother supported him in the most difficult moments. Sitting in the doorway, Leon recalls how many horrors to him I had to endure it for my own sake, mother. He shrinks from the memories, but knows that for her sake, ready endure everything. His quiet sadness is revealed only in these rare minutes' loneliness. Leon served from the age of 7 nights Vatican. His little figure among adult men seemed fragile, but his determination was stronger. Adults did not see in him a child, just a student who must endure hardship services. At the age of 13, Leon became an apprentice, going through a harsh training. His sword training became not just a test, but a battle for survival. Gritting his teeth, he threw call to your fears, so that prove your strength to yourself. At 19, Leon finally bowed down knees before the Pope. This moment became for him the culmination of his journey. He really believed that now he is the Son of God, destined for greatness, missions about which they kept telling him that for so long. However, now Leon understands that the feeling that once inspired him has long since died out. He no longer feels myself God's chosen ones. This thought gives to him seriousness, turning into a person who has realized your own place in the world. Veronica, with dark with eyes and sad with a glance, she notices how Leon is struggling with himself. She carefully asks him about his emotions, feeling hidden pain. Her care touches him, but he's used to it hide their feelings. Leon replies that habit restraint became part of his being. His calm seems unshakable, but Veronica sees cracks in his armor. Her presence for him becomes important, even though he tries this can't be shown. Veronica notices that Leon always avoids show weakness. Her words penetrate deep into his soul, forcing think about how he hid a lot from the world and himself. This is the moment of understanding their general paths. Admitting that in childhood she cried often, Veronica helps Leon see tears as strength, not weakness. Their talk becomes the beginning of a rapprochement, where both are studying accept their emotions and support each other in their not easy paths. Small Veronica lay on the floor, blubbering, with tears and kicking her legs. Her grief was all-consuming. The world seemed to her at that moment unfair and cruel. She didn't try contain emotions, spilling out all the pain outward, as if demanding that she was noticed. Grown-up Veronica pressed herself against the door. Her shoulders were lowered, but the voice sounded reservedly. She could not explain why she began to suppress her feelings, but a look her talked about the fact that the decision was not easy for her, leaving her feeling empty inside. In the dark, in the room, a man with red hair, Leon, sat hugging knees. He was talking about not being worth it, squeeze tears if they don't go themselves. Veronica stood with her head down, trying to suppress the emotions that seemed to be overwhelming her. Her wave. Leon's words sounded like reminder. There is no shame in crying. Tears help heal the soul. His tone was quiet, but sincere. Veronica froze, as if these words destroyed her barrier that she is so thorough erected long years. In her there was a detachment in the answer. She noticed that only crying cicadas become prey for children. In her something alarming flashed in my eyes, like as if she was afraid to show her vulnerability by comparing yourself with fragile creatures. Leon stood in front of Veronica. His gaze was serious. He was thinking about how depressed tears gradually accumulate inside, like water in the deep lake. This thought reflected his own fears and aspirations helped to Veronica. He described how with time internal tears can reach such a level that they will break out uncontrollably. There was sadness in his voice, but also an understanding that they must find a way out first. How will absorb human being? Veronica as if saw yourself in the water, silent and immersed in your own emotions. I realized that if he doesn't allow himself to cry now, then it will remain with this pain forever, and for the rest of my life will try to cope with it alone. Leon compared it as with life without breath, saying that to suppress feelings means slowly die inside. His figure in the water seemed decisive, reflecting readiness helped not only Veronica, but also to myself. Veronica, for the first time in a long time, agreed with his words. She admitted that pain, like rotting wound, requires treatments. Restraining tears, she doomed yourself to suffering. And for the first time she allowed herself to think about it, let go there. Veronica touches Leon's shoulder. Her look is full of tenderness. She wants to ease his pain and suffering by striving help to him, free yourself from the inner gravity. This gesture seems simultaneously simple and full deep meaning. Leon closes eyes, feeling her touch. He seems confused but gradually opens up before her. Veronica sees him as he really is, in fact, without masks and detachment. Veronica starts talking, asking important question. She tries to convey his feelings to offer Leon support. Her voice is full of sincerity and warmth, making him think. Veronica offers share his pain, ready cry instead of him. Her eyes are burning determination, despite internal doubts. This point emphasizes her strength and readiness sacrifice for another. Leon suddenly hugs hers, and theirs views meet. Between them arises irresistible attraction. He leans to kiss hers, and theirs surrounds vortex emotions, symbolizing growing connection. Their kiss turns out filled with both tenderness and passion. Leon seemed to absorb her sympathy and warmth, freeing oneself from internal pain. This moment seems important, a turning point for both of them. Veronica stunned by surprise and force emotions. She feels warm and fragile of this moment, forgetting about everyone except their connections. Her heart is filling up tenderness for Leon. Leon says that she shouldn't sacrifice his vital energy for him. Despite his words, there is a hint of gratitude and affection. This emphasizes their mutual respect. Their embrace becomes more stronger, like they are afraid lose each other. Veronica feels like inside the fire flares up, allowing to this the feeling of capturing her entirely. Leon, unable to bear it emotions, hides face on her shoulder. Veronica surprised by his reaction, but quickly understands how much this moment is important for him. She feels that their connection becomes indestructible. Veronica realized that her connection with the eyes opened new reality, complete unpredictable secrets. Red gleam, her look was filled with unspeakable fear and power that seemed to her at the same time a curse and a blessing. Leon, be careful, hugged Veronica, as if trying to divide her anxiety. He understood that now her heart and mind absorbed something inaccessible him. Her interior conflict became part of his own feelings. Majestic bronze figure. The knight in the center of the hall resembled a symbol of the past. Veronica looked at her, feeling how past and present intertwine into one whole, as if warning of the inevitability changes. Time moved inexorably forward. Leon and Veronica, surrounded snowy forest, looked at each other with questions in their eyes. Their path was long, but they knew it was leading to something important that will change their life. Veronica, surprised, looked into the distance trying to understand, connectedly her old dream with a city that they saw her. Heart beat faster when she realized that answers to her questions can be closer than she thought. Spread out before them, majestic and mysterious, its towers towered against the backdrop of snow mountains, like guarding ancient secrets. Veronica and Leon finally reached the place to which they were led by fate. On the threshold of the holy city, their expected disappointment. The gates were closed, due to recent events. A crowd of people around discussed what happened, and the tension in the air became more and more tangible. Guard at the gate with a cold calmness explained gathered that entrance will open only after stabilization situations. Veronica felt like her determination, the fight for answers, became stronger. Leon, approaching closer to the guard, suggested deal like he was ace up your sleeve. Veronica watched him, feeling mixture curiosity and hope that this talk will bring closer them to the goal. Together, sharing burden uncertainty, Leon and Veronica stood in front of the closed gates. They knew that their journey only begins, and despite the difficulties, they will be moved forward to solve secrets of this world. Veronica worriedly looks at Leon, asking about the time it will take to process the pass. His confident her behavior and caring gesture make her feel doubts, but she tries not to show his anxiety. They are standing among snow-covered mountains that emphasize dramatic moment. Leon gets it from his palm's golden ring, attracting attention. Veronica. She surprised peers into the shiny object. Her eyes expand, and in thoughts arises question. What does it mean, this an unexpected gesture on his part? On the ring distinctly the coat of arms of the Holy Order of Knights is visible. Veronica remembers legends and stories about the importance this organization's. Ring it evokes awe and makes her think about the hidden meaning what is happening. One of knights at the gate notices ring. His reaction gives out mixture shock and respect. He begins be aware of who has business, but his hesitations show that situation is not easy and requires caution. Attention attracts the sword attached to Leon's belt, this famous the sacred sword of the apocalypse, which endowed with legendary force. His presence emphasizes weightiness situations and causes in others feeling trembling. Leon says that to him the ring must be returned to His Holiness. His words resonate convincingly and do not leave doubts about his intentions. Knight stands hesitantly, pondering possible consequences their own actions. Leon asks, take into account circumstances and show understanding. His tone is confident but polite. That makes the guard think. Veronica, however, is silent, watches what is happening, trying to comprehend everything that is happening. Suddenly, Oscar Berg appears, whose appearance straightaway causes Veronica surprise. She understands that this human plays an important role in what is happening, but cannot yet put all the pieces together puzzle together. Leon recalls that past 5 years since he saw Oscar, and their past is connected with an apprenticeship with one master. For Veronica opens a new facet of his personality that makes her review their views. Oscar admits that he didn't expect Leon to remember him. This adds warmth and sincerity in their dialogue, despite the tense situation. Veronica feels that history in which she involved more complicated than it seemed. Man in light knightly armor reflects on his knightly status, remembering that was dedicated 4 years ago. His face expresses determination and ease tension, and around is hovering a gloomy aura hinting at a difficult situation past or upcoming trial. Against the bright daytime sky, Leon appears with red hair, his smile mysterious and the look perceptive. Veronica, a girl with dark hair, stands next to him, expressing lung surprise and confusion, increasing the atmosphere of anticipation, something important. Veronica, with surprise by the expression on her face, she learns what is in store for her be escorted to the papal yard. This news makes her feel anxiety and at the same time curiosity, what noticeable by her pose and gestures. The girl, turning to the knight, asks herself question, "Are not found Li they are already in place because place seems suitable for the papal court?" Knight explains that their path lies behind the temple, adding details to their mission. Leon, dressed in black armor, confidently leaves away, creating feeling loneliness and strength. However, his behavior leaves after myself feeling secrets as if he knows something that other don't realize it yet. Leon throws look at Veronica and the knight. His expression becomes thoughtful. This scene enhances tension, hinting at unresolved internal conflicts or understatement between the heroes. Veronica, noticeably excited, thinking about what never once addressed Leon by name. Her look is full of doubts, but she decides focus on the situation and follow the knight, asking him to show you the way. Veronica is coming together with the knight, her sight directed backwards, as if she wants remember the moment. Internal thoughts girls touch meeting Leon in the future and the need to clarify them relationships. They continue their journey to the papal court, and Veronica reflects on how suggest Leon to decide on their addressing each other. Her reflections emphasize significance their connections for her. Inside a majestic hall appears a figure dressed in red. This symbolizes an important event is approaching. A man in the audience notes that Leon has arrived, earlier than expected, strengthening intrigue and anticipation. The Pope, in his majestic mantles, pronounced calm but meaningful words, talking about a letter sent recently. He talked about how chosen one was found, emphasizing importance of this moment. His look was serious, as if he was aware the weight of future events. Leon, sitting on his knee, explained how managed fast get to Asseldorf after the city was subjected to attack. He looked tired but determined. Every gesture expressed its readiness to act, despite the experience's difficulties. Dad, having heard Leon's story, thought and emphasized that the path through the wasteland was passed. His words carried a shade respect, but also sounded a hint of severity, because Leon's act was risky and controversial. In their own, Leon remembered in his thoughts how broke his oath of allegiance and left the battlefield, leaving much behind. He admitted that neglected by many rules, but in the look was read determination, but in the soul, a struggle between debt and personal aspirations. He raised eyes and almost in a whisper turned to the Pope. In this moment, one could feel the full depth internal remorse. His voice trembled with emotion, and his gaze expressed pain for the committed mistakes. He tried to find in this forgiveness. Leon, standing before the Pope, said that sinned before heaven and before him. He considered myself unworthy be called son, but his words were soaked sincere remorse, which could not but cause sympathy. Despite all the doubts, there was a ring of truth in his words, a call to hope. He did not give up, seeing in forgiveness not only repentance, but also the opportunity to return what was lost. This was fighting for one's own place in this complex world. Leon announced that he, the second son, returned to the Holy City. His voice sounded confidently, though internal doubts continued to torment. However, he sought proof that ready atone for guilt and be worthy trust. The Pope, arms crossed, spoke sarcastically, asking about the need arrange a feast for the prodigal son. The words sounded cold, but in his gaze was sea-shade doubts, as if he was trying to evaluate true Leon's intentions. Summing up. As a result, the Pope concluded that feast possible only on condition that will bring the dead Bahamut. These words sounded like challenge requiring proof devotion and sincerity, leaving Leon alone with a heavy burden. Leon, kneeling, thoughtfully stares into space. His voice is full of determination. He asks question that calls tension in the air. His stern gaze says that he understands the importance of what is happening and is trying to solve the riddle. Dark creatures with many burning eye reproduce in dangerous conditions area known how Blassen. They gather their strength to attack the city of Kart, threatening to disturb his fragile peace. The creepy look intensifies anxiety. Pope worried. His calm voice states that enemies are hiding in the Blassen Mountains. This statement throws shadow doubts and makes surrounding think about further actions in this dangerous situations. Leon with confidence states that the woman who predicted attack proved to be right in the past. He suggests immediately begin search in the mountains, demonstrating their readiness act without delay to save cities. However, the advisor reminds Tudad Rimsky that half of the Knights of the Holy Order had not yet returned from previous missions. He insists that it is forbidden expose remaining knights' new threat while their forces weakened. Leon reminds of the oath save eternal peace in this city. His words are full pain and responsibility. He can't allow Cart to end up under attack from the enemy, who threatens destroy his promised peace. Pope agrees that even if enemies capture Cart, the city should not mouth. His words sound, how confirmation determination that faith and unity can endure even the most scary threat. Leon expresses assumption that appearance mysterious women are not an accident. He begins suspect that she was sent with a specific purpose goal and wants to understand what role it plays in the unfolding events. Pope silently he is thinking, his gaze is stern and thoughtful, he is pondering Herd, understanding that each solution could be fateful in this difficult situation, full dangers and intrigues. A quiet voice says accusation, hinting at the return of someone everyone thought lost. Mention of daughter Bahamuta adds new layer mystery in this disturbing history. Leon muses on the ban on healing a sacred gift, so that avoid temptations. In silence, he experiences interior conflict, justifying their actions. His gaze is sad but determined, reflecting cargo responsibility. He understands that this was necessary for the sake of the highest goals. Leon looks at his reflection in the window glass, thinking about the words that have sounded in his mind. He realizes how much his path is difficult and how he has already lost a lot. His face becomes hard, as if he accepts important solution that will move events. Leon's gaze is directed towards the Pope, to whom he bows. He promises act if of this will require circumstance. At this moment, a circumstance arises between them. Tension is the moment of decision, where faith and duty intersect. Leon, with a heavy heart, realizes that to him to come to do. He understands that must sacrifice a woman, and his face expresses torment. This moment becomes the culmination of his inner struggle between debt and personal feelings.